The fact that we have to make these distinctions in 2022, I was talking about this with somebody the other day with the whole thing about the black coaches and how it's now 2.5 men. And you're thinking that we have to make these distinctions at this point, and that the NFL has to reach and go, wow, he's half a black guy, that McDaniel, half a black guy. There you go. It's working. And you're thinking, why do we have to make these distinctions with white and black? I know it sounds kind of simple to say that, but why can't people just accept each other for who and what they are? The pleasure, as always, to be joined by the head basketball coach of the University of Miami basketball team, the great one himself, Mr. Jim Larinaga. Will you be using any of the video from the NBA All-Star game in any of your defensive classroom sessions? And does that even represent token pressure from the old days in the parks?
We're trying to get our guys to defend like the guys who guarded Steph Curry.
Well, he was shooting from the Coke machine, literally. I mean, there actually was a Coke machine at the midcourt stripe.
The time. Wake up with Defo, joined by Lubie. Welcome to the Defo Show.
The time.
On a beautiful Wednesday here from South Florida, where we originate on Ion Channel. Good morning, everybody. Great to have you guys with us for the Defo Show. Jeff Deforrest and, of course, the great Mike Lubitz, zeroing in on 12 years together with Mike Lubitz. I didn't know that we would last 12 days when I first started out. Hey, you never know how a partnership is going to go. They threw me Lubie, and you know how this goes. And welcome. If you're not familiar with the program, Lubie and I did local radio, which we were syndicated. We were actually on 2 stations. So I guess that constitutes a syndication. And it wasn't one of those deals where they had like a couple of Fugazi FMs that also were part of the configuration there. Because we're doing a show right now with Mike Mayo, the Gambling Gourmet, on a local radio station that you would have to say you'd be hard-pressed to find any numerology that would justify their existence, much less proof that they had any listeners. But they bill it as if, you're on like 5 different stations because they have all of these. What are those? Ham radio signals that they're sending out? Somehow some guy in Czechoslovakia is picking it up via ham radio waves. And all of a sudden they're like, okay, yeah, you're on FM too. But see, that's a good thing. That's what I love about Jack Namer and this Ion Channel organization. I mean, when they say you're on like 112 stations, you're on 112 stations. That's what it should be. So great to be streaming audio and video here on Ion Channel. But when I met Lubie, I was... They never want to like an incoming guy that might be already like a known, established so-called talent in town to come into the station because it immediately strikes fear in the minds. And as well it should. I mean, it's not like they're being transparent because usually, now in this particular situation, it wasn't the case that somebody was getting aced out. Because they had nothing on the radio station before. They were running all syndicated programming. And guess what? After 11 and a half years of, really knocking it out of the park, they decided to go back to having nothing on a radio station, which is the direction that business is going in. And I don't say that out of bitterness. I actually, even though, there's a little bit of a monetary hit as you try to build things up, I couldn't be happier to be doing what we're doing than to be doing what we're doing as opposed to, and I would never, I can't say never, but it's very unlikely. I would have to say the percentages are extremely high that I would never have any desire to go down to a local radio studio and do like 4 hours in the morning talking to the wind and subject myself to the brutalities and the absolute, just dictatorial and, thoughtless positions that are represented by management, where they say, well, it doesn't matter what you did. Nobody really appreciated, the effort that we were putting in. But I go to some clandestine meeting because they never want the guy that's coming in to actually show up at the station because then people start thinking, who's getting fired? So I meet at some restaurant somewhere, and there's like 6 or 7 of the radio station's executives. And finally they say to me, you're going to be working with Mike Lubitz. And I was like, well, okay, great. I don't care. I've worked with a zillion different people. Usually these guys are dedicated young guys, and they're very, good and thorough about what they do. And, and then the assistant program director, Jerry Hester, he kind of made that fisheye face like, oh, you're going to love this. And I'm like, oh, well, what kind of whack job is this guy? I mean, I've worked with crazy people. I had a producer walk off in the middle of a show,
Yep.
and then he started speaking in tongues after he told me to go bleep myself, even though I treated this guy very well, or so I thought. I don't know. I'm not really that much of a. Am I really a dickhead to work with on these kind of things, Lubie? No,
You have
I mean,
your things that are quirky, but I mean, it's always a blast. So I've enjoyed. I'm still here. Like
right, because I mean, in my position, especially at this last stop, you're just trying to keep anybody in management out of your way. Just give me no resources, give me no help whatsoever, give me no encouragement, never say a kind word in 11 and a half years, always making a face like what we're doing is, subject to some form of suspicion. But basically, like, leave me the fuck alone. That's that's what you want, right?
Yep.
But anyway, it was kind of weird, and it worked out because here we are, and I believe we are on the threshold of doing something brilliant here, Mike Lubitz. I don't know, exactly how it's going to come about, but I believe we're going to cash in. I really do.
I agree.
And as the Mustang, made me aware of our shrinking bank accounts, that better happen pretty soon. There's nothing to motivate one to get a little bit more aggressive than to find out that you're going broke. So, especially after I did have a little bit of a windfall of cash there come my way, unfortunately, after my mother's passing. But that's only going to last so long, right? You try to do the math to see if you can outlast the money. But at the rate that I spend money, I would have been out of this capital within 5 years anyway. So, we got to keep something going. And anyway, I love doing this. I really do. I mean, I'm a huge sports fan, as obviously all of you people are. You wouldn't be tuning into this type of program. And, it's always interesting. There's always something going on. I don't know that I try to ride the wave of conventional themes here on the show, but, there's certainly many, many things that are always happening in the world of sport that make it fascinating. And I'm also a big fan of good sports stories. And so, that there's always something that's relatable in that regard. And sometimes you have to dig a little bit beneath the surface. That's why we love a guy like John Feinstein, right? I mean, he goes out, tells like regular stories, but he makes them fascinating, right? Who gives a crap about the Army-Navy game? Do you? No.
No, not at all.
I would have to say, as much as I'm a proud red-blooded American, and I believe in America and the United States of America, I don't care how crazy the world has become, and it's getting so mashugana that I mean, you can't even really just kind of make like wink, wink jokes about it, right? I mean, this stuff in the Ukraine is beyond gut-wrenching. It's horrible to watch, and I'm fascinated by news in general, and war coverage in news is nothing that you really want to have happening. But being a hippy dippy child of the Vietnam era, I mean, that's kind of when war came to television, to live television, and you started to see what was really going on, and you're thinking, these poor people, my God, I mean, imagine. You're walking. I'm on my walk of life on A1A, beautiful street here in South Florida, right along the beach. There, you get the ocean breezes intermittently as you're walking your way past various condominium developments, and there's some large buildings and some, that aren't quite as tall because they got grandfathered in under some restriction. And no more than 3 stories here. We're not going to block the view of the beach.
Exactly. Honestly,
sort of a huge fan of that, actually, because I love the whole natural look of this area. It's absolutely gorgeous. And, you're on the walk of life. And I was thinking, well, what if all of a sudden, like a missile went through one of the condominiums and it was reduced to rubble? And you were forced to run and take cover and maybe like drag your dog from the Ukraine to the Polish border. And, I mean, it's insane what's going on. Absolutely insane. I understand the whole concept, like, well, we don't want to, engage in World War III. But at the same time, aren't you thinking to yourself, like, every minute, listen, Joe, anybody, I mean, every country should just unite. I know they got that whole NATO thing, but what difference does it make when people are getting shelled while they're in hospitals, while they're in maternity wards, while they're just walking down the street? It's insane what's going on there. And then on another level, I mean, that's overshadowed some of the other ridiculous, I mean, just outrageous criminal activity that's going on, including yesterday. I'm watching the news, and there's a waterfront restaurant here, kind of a fabled stop. South Florida tourists are probably familiar with a place called Shooters. It's been around for a long, long time. And unfortunately, the name was, literal. yesterday, as some guy that used to work at Shooters comes in, gets in an argument with a guy who was working there at the bar outside, right there on the intercoastal, pulls out a gun and shoots the guy
Oh,
in
Jesus.
front of all of their patrons are eating, and there's blood flying all over the place. I mean, what has the world come to? My God, I fear for my grandchildren. I really do, that they are going to inherit a very, very difficult earth to deal with. And, I mean, I won't be around to see it necessarily, the total destruction of the universe, but are we heading in that direction? I mean, what are we doing out there, people? Be careful out there, like they used to say in Hill Street Blues. Remember, the guy would give the lecture to the cops, and then as they were exiting, he would just say, all right, ladies, be careful out there. And that's what you have to do. But a lot of hideous stuff going on. And as we always say, it's a pleasure to only have to delve so deeply into that and then just insulate ourselves into the toy department, which is the sporting world. And that's why I can't get like you over games and teams, Lubie. I know a lot of fans do, where you're like screaming at a television set. Although I've been guilty of that, and I would imagine I probably should get more into that mode because this is kind of a getaway day for me. I'm going to be taking off tomorrow for Atlantic City, and it would be prohibitive to schlep all of this equipment with me to Atlantic City. Although there will come that time, right, where we can just make this whole thing completely portable.
Remotes, yeah.
I guess we could.
This is a vacay. Let's go enjoy your vacay.
Yeah, I just need to clear the head out there and get going in another direction with all full force momentum so that we can solve all of our problems, at least individually and, between the two of us, and also appease the various people that we are responsible to. Don't worry, Jack. The money's going to come. It's going to come flying in, man. We won't have a single problem. Here it comes. No, our fortune is right around the corner. I know this. I've been doing this a long time. I can sense when something good is about to happen. And I believe it is. And if I go to my grave without accomplishing that, at least we gave it everything that we had. That's the way that you have to approach it, right? You make your own fate sometimes. And if you're a person that's not inclined to just have blind luck, like a lot of people do, you really got to work a little bit harder to bring that all about. But it'll be nice to clear out the brain. I'm going to be out there. Up there at this point, Atlantic City, New Jersey. Now, not my favorite gambling destination. It's okay to stop in there. I kind of like it for a day or two. I don't know that I like it for 5 days.
You're going for a while for AC.
Yeah.
That's why I figured you'd be here for Monday because I'm like, oh, it's AC. He'll be back Sunday.
Well, I mean, they have like a really early morning flight out of there, Spirit Airlines, which I think is always on time. Jersey Kyle is a practitioner of taking that particular flight. He comes in on like a 6 o'clock flight out of Atlantic City on Monday, gets down to Fort Lauderdale about 8 in the morning, and goes right to work. He's one of those guys who goes straight to work. Which I used to do stuff like that when I was doing morning drive radio. I'd come back off a red eye and actually drive to the station and try to do a show. But at this point in time, it's just it's not necessarily my bag anymore. As dedicated as I am to being with you people and doing this stuff, and as much as I enjoy it, after a while, you start thinking, you know what? I did that my whole life. I'm coming back in the afternoon. I'm going to relax. I'm going to sleep late that Monday, come back in the afternoon, regroup, and get everything ready for Tuesday. But what will be going on in Atlantic City, and I have not experienced this. I have never been in. It doesn't matter where you are anymore. You can bet on any game on your cell phone. And how are people doing that in Florida though? When it's not legal.
I don't think you can in Florida. Well, I mean, there's apps.
Everybody I know is betting on their phone. Every single person. In fact, Mike Mayo. Not that he's doing anything illegal, but when he comes to the track, like a lot of guys. Our good friend Mike Nyman is a guy that practices this, particular strategy, and that is they never even get up out of their chair to go to a window anymore when they're at the track. They just bet right there on their phone. Now, I guess is that legal in Florida? But sports betting is not legal in Florida. No. That's what it is. Okay.
And we have friends that do betting online, but again, it's like sites that are based out of the country, so there's a way they get away with it, but you're still really not allowed to. Like,
I'm a little nervous about that, though. Still, I don't know. I guess it's reliable, right?
I know people have done it for years, so I trust them to do it. But we don't have one where you can just pull it up anywhere and just do it. And we did it for like a month, I guess.
Yeah,
that went away quickly. Thank you, Florida. Thank you, Governor.
Imagine that, Ron DeSantis, who is in favor of everything that you would say would set us back into the Stone Age. Abortion laws. Oh, yeah, I'll sign that the minute it hits my desk, And he's got like 47 Sharpies to sign this thing. Like his signature is so valuable on a piece of paper. He might end up being the next president. I mean, people are so crazy. There's so much sugar now that a lot of people think this guy's doing a great job. You see that? He was right about that. Nobody needed any shots. Nobody needed any masks. Okay, Ronnie boy.
I know I can whatever. I can name a handful of people personally that I know that passed off. But whatever. That's a whole nother thing.
Well,
But
one of the hot political issues is somebody in the state Congress decided to bring forward a bill to restrict people in school from talking about alternative. Is it still alternative lifestyles? I don't know. I mean, any kind of sexual behavior that isn't conventional. Let's put it that way. I.e., the LBGT community, right? So you weren't allowed to talk about homosexuality or gay sex or whatever. But that was for like grades kindergarten through third grade. Who the hell is talking about that anyway? In
that's what I was
kindergarten
gonna
through
say.
third grade.
It's like an elementary school thing, and I'm like, when are you talking sexuality until like 4th, 5th grade? I
I
don't
don't
even.
even know in fourth, fifth grade. I mean, in Brooklyn, everybody
know.
already knew about
I
sexuality.
was
I
gonna
mean,
Now kids are very advanced because of the internet. Kids, no,
yeah.
my nephews will tell me stuff. It's like, okay, good to know.
But that's where we're at. We're passing legislation here that is incredibly
Yes.
meaningless and also, harmful overall. I mean, negative. It really is a move back into, just a blind conservative time where nobody, was able to think freely or, show who they really are, but for fear that they would be, chastised and, and abused for things that nobody else should care about. What do I care what you do? Lubie, honestly, in the bedroom, I don't know if you were like Trevor Bauer or something, it might be a little bit
Yeah, I'm
upsetting.
not being the shit out of my wife. So other than that, like, who gives a crap?
Yeah. What happens with Trevor Bauer, by the way? No criminal charges in his case. He's been on whatever that is. I don't know how they term it. It's
Yeah, I
not
know,
suspension.
I don't know.
It's administrative leave. That's a good one. Administrative leave. That's what I'll be on for the next few days. I'll be on administrative leave. Whatever issues I have, I have none with these people. They're great, very cooperative. They're looking for us to succeed. I mean, they believe in us, which is a nice thing. But he's been on administrative leave from Major League Baseball ever since these charges were pending, and they did not charge him criminally in this case, where he admitted to having. I don't know about rough sex. I mean, it was like this poor woman was with Sonny Liston, and he was mad.
Yes. Like, none of us should judge others' sexual proclivities, but when you saw the pictures of the girl, it's like,
it didn't look good. No,
the crap out of her, dude. Like,
yeah.
She wanted that. Okay,
She should have just joined the FAMU band. I mean, not to make a joke of that, because people have been killed in those hazing incidents. Just an absolutely absurd practice that was condoned, I guess. I mean, did the university just look the other way as they were having a guy that wanted to play the tuba in a marching band, have to go through like a school bus while people were beating the crap out of him with sledgehammers as he rolled by the gauntlet, so to speak. I mean, so what happens with this guy? I guess they extended this administrative leave another week after baseball came back into operation, and I don't know. I mean, if he wins 17 games, did people just forget about it?
Well, for sure.
The bloody images of the woman that he was having sex with, and I know it's sort of interesting. I guess there must have been some level of consent to this thing, huh?
I'm sure
for the criminal charges not to be
It
filed.
wasn't like he raped her. It's just, it feels like he likes to do some really interesting things when he gets in there. And I wonder if there's any woman, I don't care how much you love aggressive sex. I mean, to walk out with black eyes.
Yeah. I don't want to look like Arturo Gatti at the end of having sex with somebody.
You're like Sugar Shane.
Like you just went 12 with Mickey Ward. Unbelievable.
Okay.
Good fight, Mick. Tell you what, you're one tough son of a gun, right? I mean, okay, so they hug each other afterwards, but they were paid to beat the crap out of each other. It's amazing.
I mean, okay.
Yeah, so much crazy stuff, going on. It's not really my favorite thing to dive into because, of course, we had the NCAA Tournament, which I'm going to zero in on. I would have made a bet last night, and actually it would have been a stupid bet, even though it won. Because I thought Indiana was playing some really good basketball, so I figured that they were underrated in being involved in one of the play-in games, which they played last night, Indiana. And, they played, Wyoming?
Yep, and they won.
And they won, and they were laying 3 in a hook. And I thought they were playing well because I really only saw their recent Big Ten tournament results where they won a couple of games and looked pretty good. Mike Woodson is their coach, former professional
He's doing a
coach,
good job.
and a lot of people thought he was a very respectable coach, even though he was relatively ineffective. Although in some great spots, didn't he coach? Did he coach the Lakers also? Woodson, when they were good with Kobe, was he their head coach at one time? I know he coached the Knicks.
Oh, the Knicks,
Yeah.
Knicks and Hawks, and then went to college with Indiana. I think you're talking about Mike Brown.
Oh, Mike Brown, yeah. They've sort of like
Cavs.
it's easy to juxtapose those two guys. I
Well,
don't know if they're
very
lookalikes, but
they're guys that do a good job, and they get put in these really bad positions, and everyone judges them and thinks they're not good at their job, even though they actually are good at their job.
yeah. So anyway, I thought Indiana was playing good basketball. I didn't realize that they had lost 7 of their last 9 games.
Oh, really?
Going into last night.
They're playing well too.
So they won the 2 tournament games. Those are the only games they won out of like their last 9. They must have been on like a 7-game losing streak or something along those lines. So they weren't playing good basketball at the end of the year. And yet I loved them last night without really. And this is the beauty of betting this tournament is I loved them last night knowing almost nothing about them. In fact, being completely wrong, having the exact wrong impression of where this team was at. And I would have cashed a bet, and I probably would have thought, and this is the beautiful thing about being a sick degenerate, that, see, I told you Indiana was a lock.
And you would have talked shit, exactly.
Meanwhile, you couldn't have been any more of a fool than to bet this team laying 3.5 last night, although I know nothing about Wyoming either, and that's great because it's a perfect setup for what's going to happen over the next several days.
Your weekend is going to be spectacular. You're going to be betting on everything and have no idea.
See, I don't know. You know what? There's a mistaken image that I'm just sending it in on like virtually every game, and I don't. I'm not a big sports bettor per se. I love following it. I love talking about it. I'm more of a horse player than I am a sports bettor. It's not like I haven't wagered on sporting events. I usually screw it up. The professor always gets mad at me because I insist on making parlays. I love playing in pools and things like that. They have had for many years these football pools where it's similar to the Westgate handicapping championship, where you have to pick 5 games against the spread every week in the NFL. And it's difficult, as we know, from those survivor pools, formerly known as suicide pools. But now it's survivor because suicide is not a word that anybody wants you to even mention. Okay, and let's face it, that's a sensitive subject. Maybe we should just stay out of that one, huh, Louie? In this cancel culture era where, for me, it was midget wrestling. I don't know.
The two have had to win.
Was it diminutive people wrestling? No. I mean, it wouldn't have worked. It was midget wrestling. That was it. I mean, as demeaning as that may be to people that unfortunately, are not born to grow to be like 6 feet tall, huh? I mean, or whatever. Very lucky we are, Lubie, to have had no real gigantic complications in our life. I mean, it's basically all on us. If we don't make it, Lubie, it's on you.
I thought about that today. I'm like, I'm a white guy. Like, I should be rich in this country. If you're a white guy, you have a massive advantage over like the rest of the world. Like.
You need luck, though. You could be the greatest at what you do. You need a little bit of luck. I mean, a little bit of luck goes a long way in this racket. And I would say, I've been very, very fortunate, but I haven't had the greatest luck in terms of career breaks or this, that, or the other thing. I mean, I've kind of manufactured everything that I've done, which I'm okay with that. Sometimes you come to grips with who you are and the way that you've conducted your business. And if you're happy, if you can wake up in the morning like we do and do something and think, hey, happy to share my experiences, my thoughts with people and have people actually curious to see what it is that you have to offer that day. Very, very fortunate, I would have to say.
Well, supposedly, they were referencing you on Levitard the other day. Ken heard them say that Levitard sort of envies you and the way you live because, or it was horse better guy. So, of course, you're their example of horse better guy. And horse better guy is always happy. He goes to the track. He watches the track. He just lives his life. He doesn't give a shit. Like, I envy that guy. And, of course, went on to talk about Jeff Deforrest for, I guess, 5 minutes on their show. So, which we appreciate that they still pay homage to you.
Well, it'd be nice if they gave me a call back from the inquiry I sent Levitard 6 months ago saying, hey, you got a spot for us? I mean, we pretty much invented the style, or at least we're major advocates of this particular approach. which Levitard obviously did very well with, and he has great connect. But see, you need luck, right? I mean, this guy fell into a thing. I remember when Levitard was doing a radio show on ESPN on the weekends. Now, he was a very accomplished writer and well respected for his newspaper work, and he did a lot of different things, and he wrote a lot of interesting stuff. And in general, was always to me a good guy. I mean, I wasn't close friends with him or anything, but we worked together at radio station. Now, when this station that he kind of got his career launched on first signed on, and it was independently run, and it was a whole different thing. And I was happy to be working there, and he was always okay with me. But and I came later to find out that he had this mad respect for what it is that we do, because we went away a long time ago from talking conventional topics or getting into the typical sports debates. I mean, it was just so lame to sit there and take call after call. It's an easy thing to do about, like, who's the better quarterback, Marino or Montana, was one of the big things. So, or your favorite sports movie, or any of this stuff. But we always like to have fun with the whole thing. And maybe that's part of the cavalier attitude of being a gambler, because even as the Mustang was giving me that look like, well, geez, the funds are really dwindling. When are you going to start making some money with this thing? I thought, well, right after Atlantic City, we'll get serious about this.
I was going to say, welcome to my world. It's so fun. I'm like, babe, I don't know. I'm trying. You see, I go every day. Like, you see, I'm constantly doing shit.
Yeah. What's the first thing I thought of, though, when I woke up this morning? I naturally went thinking, well, geez, is there any material for the show? And, of course, there's always something. I mean, I watched a zillion things last night, including I didn't catch too much of these play-in games. I'm really kind of saving it for tomorrow.
Yeah.
When and I do believe this flight's going to be on time, Lubie. I
believe this. Wait, if you come back Monday, then you're going to watch 4 straight days of, like, wall to wall.
Well, and for me, I mean, my trip when I go to Atlantic City or any gambling destination, I really love it in Vegas, because it all starts at like 9 a.m.
Yep.
So you're still like somewhat on East Coast time. And, so it seems like you slept late. And, I would go out, do the walk of life there, roll right by to Rio, all the way down to some area of Las Vegas where you're thinking, wow, there are regular people in this town. They're going to work. And it's not on the Strip, not even involving casinos. I did roll by, though, and I've never got into, have I gone into one of these places? No, I would say I've never been in one of these legal marijuana shops. Dispensaries.
They're amazing. The two kinds are the one that they have down here with the medical ones that they have in the recreational places are fine, because it's cool to just be able to pick what you want. But the ones that are the coffee shops are fucking spectacular.
Oh, yeah? Now, where were you? In California?
In San Francisco, Shirley and I.
Oh, San Fran. They would lead the pack.
I think Vegas has it. Vegas is like that now, too. Like, they're fucking cool. Like, you can not only pick what, but they know, they treat it like it's wine. So they're like, well, what are you feeling like today?
Oh, yeah.
It's cool. And then they'll give you the apparatus, whether it's a bowl or papers or a mini bong. They'll give you water. They'll give you the lighter. They give you the ashtray. And then there's tables and people. It's not. That's what smoking was always a problem with smoking. And I always thought this normal, the group that wanted to legalize it, was always a bunch of people that they hadn't taken a shower in a month. They wore hemp bags. It's like, dude, no one's going to take you seriously if you look like that. Everyone smokes. You don't have to make it seem like you live in a fucking farm to smoke. Like, that's what was cool. You had people in suits, like at this, the coffee shop, people in suits, people with
a little more of a sophisticated crowd than you would expect to see at like Woodstock. All right.
Like if you went to Starbucks, like you didn't have to feel like you were in the corner, like a fucking drug addict. Like, if you can see a coffee shop when you're there, you guys will have a blast. It's really cool.
Remember when we used to have to run downstairs and we thought nobody was aware of the fact that we were smoking weed, even though, and that was the thing. I mean, the advent of edibles is just fantastic, especially for a guy like me, because you would reek of marijuana as you came back up the stairs, and everybody, whoa, what have you guys been doing?
We didn't hide it.
And you were on like an 8-minute break that you would load it up, even though the normal duration of a commercial block would have been like 3-4 minutes. But somehow you would stack 10 commercials in there, so we would have time to go downstairs and take a couple of hits off a joint, obviously to refresh some of the material.
All this.
But I rolled by on my walk of life in Las Vegas. I went by to Rio,
Nice.
The Gold Coast, which is kind of, I mean, that's like a schleppy looking casino. Who would be inclined to go off the strip and hang out at the Gold Coast? And they always have very attractive culinary come-ons. The Gambling Gourmet should actually do something on that, where you're on the strip and you're paying $90 for a steak at a Gordon Ramsay named steakhouse.
Yep.
Right? Good quality, no doubt about it. Very distinguished service. The guy comes over, he knows the whole shtick about how to take care of a customer in a restaurant. Or, right down the street is the Gold Coast, and it's $9.95 for a piece of prime rib that actually is like half of a cow. And on the marquee, it looks fantastic. So now, where do you go? I guess if you're a local, you're going to take advantage of these kind of bargains, and that's why you see the locals in places like the Gold Coast and the Palace Station is another dump, which I'm very familiar with because my first Vegas wedding, I was comped a couple of rooms at the Palace Station through my friend, the Mighty Melendez, and so that's where we left from, and it was a classic, actually, Lubie. I think you know this story, where I'm getting ready to go to the chapel to get married there, and it was not exactly any great shakes. I think it was the Little Chapel of the Bells, and it was $75, for the wedding, and that included everything, right? Including you want a rabbi, no problem. Hey, Mo, get in here. Yeah, you Schwartz, get in here. We need you.
Schwartz.
So anyway, there's a limo pulls up, and I get in it with my bride to be, and they take us to some other destination, and it turned out we had gotten in the wrong limousine. That was there to pick up the Fitzgeralds.
You're going to Caesar's.
So we literally had to tell the guy, "Hey, man, that ain't where we're getting married. I mean, where are you going?" And he was at some shul out in Red Rock Canyon. And so he drives us back to the Palace Station, and there is the other frustrated couple. They also had gone to the wrong destination, and we swapped cars like we were the Beatles trying to leave a concert. Just went right through one car and into another. And unfortunately, it took us to the right place. And got married.
Yeah, but you got Jesse out of that.
10 years and about 300 grand. No, this was post Jess, man.
Oh, then that one, that one was a total disaster. But
well, I don't know that it was a total disaster.
From what I've heard.
It was close.
I've heard them.
Let's see. If you bet all 32 games in the opening round of the tournament, Thursday and Friday, and lost them all,
less money.
You've lost that love and feeling. When that's your wedding song, you know there's a pretty good chance that there's a subliminal theme that's going to work through the entire 10-year process. Anyway, that's in the distant past, Louie, and that's a good thing. And that's a good thing about being a gambler. You know what? You lose a race, don't sit there and complain and show the guy your tickets. Oh, you see that? I left out the 5. Can you believe this? I left out the 5. Man, he told me he couldn't run. I can't believe this schmuck. Why did I listen to him? Right? Because you always want to put it off on somebody else. Yeah, you're a schmuck. You should have known that if Manny gave you, told you the 5 couldn't run, to throw him in the win position. What are you talking about? Key off the 5 at that point. So, there's none of that, though, in my mentality. I just turn the page. That's all you can do. Something bad happens to you, you need to learn how to turn the page. Jim Morrison said it best, right? Learn to forget, my friends. And that didn't strike me until years later after I heard that line in a song. I mean, is that not one of the big keys to life? Learn to forget.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Right? Somebody screws you over, learn to forget. I don't know that it's forgive and forget. I mean, you might want to see the guy burn in hell, but at least learn to forget about it for the time being. So it'll be a lot of fun. I don't know. Do you have anything on this tournament, Lubie? Is the professor talking about anybody? I don't know why. I want to bet Virginia Tech. And
I had to take first round for some reason.
I was thinking that Indiana could be that 12 versus 5 upset, but now after seeing that they had lost 7 of their last 9 games and they're coached by Mike Woodson, who suddenly turned into the same fool he was with the Knicks, why would I want to invest my money in a proposition like that? But Virginia Tech will be, I think they're a slight underdog. They might be getting like 1.5 in this game. You know what inspired me with this a little bit? Yesterday on the show, Jim Larinaga. Wasn't that great? I mean, you could sense. Now, Jim Larinaga is a very, talk about one of the Gambling Gourmet's fine sponsors. He's a very even keel fellow.
I was going to say, he reminds me of Even Keel. Yep.
right? When they suffered that just impossible to tolerate loss against Florida State, when the guy got the foul call, legitimate foul, rarely do you get that call.
Yeah, it was
not to win a game with a second to go. All right.
I'm a Nolan.
Anyway, I wouldn't be screaming that it was unjust, but as Larinaga pointed out when he was on the show with us after that particular play and that ball game, which snapped like a 9-game winning streak for the Hurricanes in the middle of the season, and that's the question. Was that their period where if they were playing that way now, they would be a much bigger threat in the NCAA tournament? Now, it's not like they're playing poorly. They had a couple of road victories at the end of the season. Boston College wasn't that good of a team this year, though.
No.
Though, what did they do? Did Boston College? They didn't. No, they're nowhere near this tournament, right? ACC only had 5 teams.
They're not in. I don't think they're in that night either. Boston College just had a bad year.
Yeah. Okay. So, Jim had pointed out to us. Jim Larinaga had pointed out to us. He's just Jim to me now. Isn't that great?
Look at that amount of lot.
Yeah. Well, you know what? There are certain people that you just enjoy like any conversation with a guy, and it's a pleasure to listen to them expound on what it is that they're an expert at, right? I mean, what are you going to do? You don't have to ask Pat Riley too many questions.
No.
to come away going, my God, that man is brilliant.
Yep.
Right? And, Larinaga is brilliant in a different way. But, wow, I mean, what an encyclopedic knowledge of, basketball going back to his days. I mean, to be a star basketball player in New York City high school ball, you have to be good. I mean, and Larinaga was that. It was an era a little bit prior to, when I was, much more in tune with this stuff. But and we had Dr. J in our area as a high school basketball player in the local area, Long Island, New York. Larinaga's in New York City, though, where the standards were even higher, if you can imagine, Lubie. Yeah. Right? That's why that Sebastian Telfair story is so weird, right? I mean, this guy was averaging 30-something a game in high school at like Coney Island. And, one of the fabled programs there, I mean, I guess he was from the Coney Island area, and I forget the name. It starts with a D, I believe, of the high school there. It's like the big high school.
Isn't it DeMatha?
No, DeMatha is in Washington. That's a whole nother thing. Anyway, to be a star in New York City basketball, especially and in that period of time, tremendous. And he remembers. I mean, that's the thing that always amazes me is when he starts talking about like high school games, like he did with Dean the Dream Meminger the other day. But he said a lot of interesting things in this interview from yesterday because I was thinking back to it. Not the least of which was we asked him what his strategy would be, and you thought, he might pull one of those things like if you were talking to Lou Duva. Well, I can't tell you what the champ's going to do. And he essentially said, that USC is like a bunch of redwood trees. 6'9" at the guard position, and every other position is 6'9" or bigger, and they got a 6'5" point guard.
Yeah.
Holy Matt Gukas. A 6'5" point guard. Matt Gukas.
He played for Abraham Lincoln in Brooklyn. I know they said
okay. All right.
Abraham Lincoln. That one I've actually never heard of, but
look up the top New York City high school programs or like top New York City high school basketball teams. And this is how you have to come up with things now, when the brain is a little bit scrambled and you have to kind of work your way back, right? Which you're capable of doing now with Google. So Louis, I think we'll come up with it. Not necessarily so overwhelmingly relevant to what we're saying, which is Larinaga says, you know what? And I didn't realize this. See, totally uninformed going into that interview, Louis, and I'm surprised you didn't catch this also. The Canes are University of Miami basketball team are number 3, I believe, in the country, something in the top 10, but I believe it was as high as 3 in points generated off turnovers. Did you know that? They're getting like 18 or 19 points a game off turnovers. Holy Joe Zagacki. How did I not know that? And what did he say his strategy would be? Where we said, well, what's going to happen when they start bumping and grinding inside? And he just said, we hope not to let them get there, right? They're not going to out-rebound us, and look, strength versus weakness. USC, a dynamite offensive rebounding team, and the Canes, as Larinaga, openly said, that isn't one of their strengths. So usually you would think that this from his conversation, you would think that USC had a big edge in this game.
He made it seem like
I'm tempted to bet the Hurricanes.
I think
just out of faith in Jim Larinaga. What do you think? 10 versus 7.
I think the
Andy
Canadian.
Enfield was a great story. Remember how he met
Yeah,
his girlfriend and he took her to like Taco Bell? He had some hot model
she's
that
like rich. She was like rich. No,
he
she
had
was rich.
spotted in the stands or something as a Rutgers fan, and he was working there or doing something there, and he took her out to Taco Bell. First day, night out, right? I mean, and she's like a smoking hot model. She
Yep.
could easily be on the A-Rod, Jeter, and Tiger Woods conversation list, right? And it was very cool. And then he has this great run at Florida Gulf Coast. Although, did they not get into massive jackpots after that?
I think
In
something
terms of
happened. Yeah, I think there was something after. Yeah.
how is it, honestly, Louie? How is it that Ohio State is never the subject of this kind of scrutiny? But
Because
Florida Gulf Coast wins a couple of games. They write a Cinderella story. The whole country's in love with them. And the NCAA, which I don't know, are they so lacking in authority now, Lubie, that it's irrelevant to even talk about the NCAA? I mean, can they really sanction anybody at this
no,
point
no,
in time?
not really. I mean, there's
How is
certain
it possible?
things, but not a lot. Especially the football. They don't have any jurisdiction over football anymore.
Are they making any rulings? Are they doing anything? I mean, what do they do? What does Mark Emmert do all day? Cut out little paper dolls like he was Perry White, the editor of the Daily Planet and the Superman shows, right? And don't call me chief. Probably losing his mind there, Emmert. Although making tons of money, right? They haven't confiscated any of his yachts yet, have they?
No, no.
I don't want to equate him with Putin. I mean, that's the kind of thing that gets you thrown off Facebook, much less TV. Kind of crazy. All right. So anyway, I'll be all over that. I don't know that I have any kind of a feel for it yet, Lubie. Even though I tried my best to watch, a good portion, a nice cross section of the tournaments. You have your guy Peter Kiss going tonight for Bryant in one of the playing games. Bryant, I believe, are they taking on Wright State? Is that the competition there? Bryant versus Wright State. Wright State was a team that I saw a little of their action.
Yes,
They won in dramatic fashion.
216.
What's that?
Wright State did win dramatically, and they will take on Bryant, and both are 16 seeds. They've played tonight.
Right. I mean, so they're going to get crushed in their opening game of the tournament. I don't know who they go against, but I would imagine it's like maybe Gonzaga. It'll be curious. I watch this kid tonight, though. He's very entertaining. Have you not seen Peter Kiss play basketball? See, now that's one of those things that the tournament brings out. That this is, it shouldn't be an obscure story if he led the nation in scoring. You would think you would know, right? I mean, when Elvin Hayes was leading the nation in scoring, it was like, oh, wow, man, I can't wait to see the Big E.
Yep.
But, this guy, I had never heard of him before. Did you?
No,
They didn't have that brawl in the stands. I don't know that I would know who he is today, right? And he sort of, I don't want to say words like insurrection, but this guy's antics, who knows? It might have been enough to piss off, the team that they were playing. Wagner, I think they were playing in that ball game, and they got into the brawl in the stands. It was ugly, right? It was like, holy Ron Artest, what the hell is going on up there? Meta World Peace. Anyway, that'll be worth watching. I'm not sure who the favorite is in that game because, unfortunately, and it can happen, right? My New York Post subscription lapsed, and they are very quick to slap sanctions. If Biden acted this quickly, the war in Ukraine would be over.
right here it says Wright State is laying 3 and a hook.
Laying 3 and a hook to Bryant.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
I'm blanking on who Wright State beat to get into this game. They had a very, very difficult challenge, and it went right down to the wire there. In fact, it was one of the better games that I saw in the conference tournaments that were played, including the big conferences, in terms of the drama. Because I believe what happened was their opponent made a shot, made like a 3 to go ahead after they had taken the lead late in the ball game and appeared to be in a position to ice it. Somehow they lose the lead, and then with like a handful of seconds left, just a few ticks left on the clock here, Lubie. Guy comes down and swishes a really nice 2-point shot under a lot of pressure, and they ended up holding on. That was when my TV froze. I think I was telling you about that last week.
Yeah.
So I didn't see the last 7 seconds of that ball game, but they had to stave off, a last second shot, and apparently they did.
The winner of this game plays Arizona. They play Arizona. I know. Yeah.
See, I mean, why do I feel like they would have? Everybody thinks Gonzaga is going to win this. Every expert you talk to, I mean, they had the show there with Greg Gumbel. Did Greg Gumbel lose some weight? His face looked a little thin. Is he all right, Greg Gumbel?
Maybe on purpose. I'm hoping it's on purpose. I don't know.
Yeah, yeah, you don't want to find out he has some, insipid and hideous disease, right? That's not, you don't want to go on a cancer diet. Let's put it that way, Mike
No,
Lubitz, right? And that would be me, right? Tell the guy because you know me, I'm always, hey, you look great. Look like you lost a few pounds, and and people always like hearing that, right? Oh no, I'm the same weight that I was. But when you say that, kind of in a jocular fashion to just break the ice with a person. Hey, Lubie, you look great. Looks like you lost a few pounds, and you say, "Yeah, I got liver cancer," and you're like, "Oh, I didn't mean nothing by it."
Yeah, exactly. That's like the pregnant thing. You're like, oh,
Yeah,
congratulations. They're like, for what?
yeah. When's the baby due? Yeah. I don't know. I still remember exactly the scenario when I said that to this young guy's wife. Not to his wife, but to him, and he was sitting with his wife, and she wasn't pregnant.
I stopped doing that years ago. I did it one time, and I've never seen her
Oh
react.
my God! I mean, you
I'm like, look pregnant. Like, what do you want?
could you feel like more of a fool? That's a Southwest Airlines commercial. You need to get out of here.
Yes,
Thank you, Indiana. Right, and the guy's in Cleveland.
just want to get away.
We've said enough embarrassing things. All right, so I'm very excited about the tournament. You have helped out, not even in the slightest bit. I know you're going to be carrying a load here, but we will have the professor and Mark Lawrence. Gurgles is going to join you, by the way, for the trivia
Yes,
challenge tomorrow,
I'll have a full
Hialeah
trip.
Park Trivia Challenge, and then Monday, of course. Well, I mean, we're going to have Tony on the show today, but he had to flip flop a couple of things because of his. I mean, you talk about having a full social and business calendar.
Yes.
Who's more lined up or dialed in than Tony Segreto? Nobody,
Oh,
right?
no. I know him.
Well, I'm on the board of directors here. Every school we talk about, right? We could be talking
Yes.
about Transylvania University having a shot to get Rick Pitino as coach, and Tony would immediately come back with, "Yeah, I'm on the board of trustees there, and there was a pretty good possibility that was going to happen." Okay, Tony, he's going to join us.
Yes, it's so
We
weird.
love Tony, man. We love Tony, but he's connected with everything, right? I mean,
Yes.
it's no surprise that his schedule will not accommodate his normal Wednesday appearance next week. So that well, it'll be good though. You and Tony, you get along famously on all of these
I
things.
adore Tony Segreto. Yes, we'll have
Yeah,
a time.
It's good to have somebody espousing virtue on a show, is it not?
Oh, especially
As
ours.
opposed to the constant cynical attacks, the sarcastic. I mean, just the defamation of character type stuff that we engage in all the time here on the program. No, I think we're realists, Lubie. I think we speak truth. What do you think? I don't want to get in a jackpot with Native Americans, but Kemosabe, he speak truth, right? No forked tongue here.
Sure.
But anyway, it's going to be fun. I'm going to see. I'll be in the race book with an eye on these basketball games.
Okay.
Now, I'm not sure how much does Atlantic City and the casino, commission or whatever. How much do they capitulate to the games? Obviously, the guy that's running the Borgata is where they have the one race book. Although Marty the Party Sachs is telling me they have another one now at this other hotel that they spiffed up. There was a hotel that just went completely bust, and it was called, I think, the Revel or something at one time, and now it's called like Oceans, and it's at the end of it's past the pier there and kind of on the water. Looks like a really nice place. I've never actually walked in there. It's kind of a little out of the way for the stuff that I usually do in Atlantic City, but I have a tendency to gravitate towards the boardwalk and just keep walking into the ocean.
Probably the best
It
bet.
really does. I mean, how does the Atlantic Ocean in only one spot in the universe look like raw sewage? Atlantic City, New Jersey. If you were thinking about killing yourself because you lost a lot of money in the casinos and you were going to dive off the pier there in Atlantic City, the famous steel pier, you would just say, forget about it, man. I ain't diving into that shit. I'd rather live. You know what? It's not so bad. I'll borrow some money, get a bankroll, and see if I can cash in on Virginia Tech winning a couple of games in the tournament.
Exactly.
But do they blow out the horse player entirely to accommodate the overflow of young people that want to be watching and sending it in on these games? Or is that not the case there because, let's say, certain people with connections who know people would never stand for it because they love betting the horses? What do you think?
I don't know. That's why the professor and I were talking. That's why he was sort of, I don't know, concerned, but curious about how you would enjoy Vegas, because it feels like that's what they do in Vegas. I don't know what they're going to do in Atlantic City. I don't know what younger crowd they get in AC. especially that
Well, they have this big room for betting horses there. Very
Okay.
nicely appointed. The room in the Borgata. I mean, it's fine. It's not my favorite place. I'd much rather be at Champions at Hialeah Park, but they have now a separate when they legalized sports wagering in New Jersey. They built their own separate like sports bar room
Okay.
for people to go bet on sports and hang out, and it's great too. I mean, they don't rip you off. They have reasonable food and drink prices, and make it kind of fun. It's like a neighborhood sports bar inside of a casino. It doesn't have that kind of casino feel to it, except very obviously the arrow points to the betting windows and says wager right here, right? Hey Mo, we got another one. That's my second Mo aside in the same segment. All right. Hialeah Park. Wow, that would be a place to go. I mean, a lot of big racing coming up. A lot of interesting stuff. And Hialeah Park Champion Simulcasting Room. Now, people may say, you're just shilling for this place, Deforrest, because they've supported all of your media ventures since practically your birth, right? And I couldn't be any more indebted or in gratitude to the people at Hialeah Park. And I feel like part of the family there. I really do. So we're straight up about that. Tourney was into this thing about distinguishing how we might be shilling for people. No, I mean, I genuinely love these guys. I've loved since the minute I set foot on the grounds. That is true. I used to say this in one of the recorded ads we had for Hialeah Park. I was in love with the place. I really was. And people were stunned when John Brunetti Sr., the great one himself, had the press conference. In fact, Tourney, I think, was the MC at that thing. And I remember walking out of there, and everybody thought, this is a great man, but he's out of his mind here.
Yeah, I remember Floydie doing shows and people sort of because he was big with Hialeah Park too, and people gave him a lot of crap. They're like, Hialeah Park, what the hell's wrong with him? What?
Well, I mean, they were closed down. It wasn't a pretty ending to their horse racing legacy, as they were sort of getting buried by the other two tracks who were, they had reason to want to put them out of business, right? And it was very difficult to compete, and they were getting very few people there, and they finally just drew in a towel. So no more horse racing at one of the most beautiful. I mean, as stadiums and arenas go for a particular sport, I don't know that you find anything more magnificent. And I go on these trips to go to great racetracks, Lubie, and I love it at Keeneland, and I really enjoyed being at Del Mar. It's absolutely fantastic. I used to love Santa Anita, very majestic. That's where I came from when I first came to Hialeah Park when I moved to Florida. Absolutely amazing. So you hated to see the place shut down. There was, always some conversation out there, even to this day, about maybe coming back with some racing there. I don't think it's ever going to happen. But when John Brunetti Sr. said, I'm opening this place up as a casino, I mean, he was the subject of, a lot of that kind of talk where the people whisper under their breath, I think he's lost it, Lubie. They did it. It's amazing. And that's part of the story there. I mean, part of the charm of the place. They've overcome so much over the years in spite of the intrinsic and inherent beauty of the place and the honest count that they give everybody. And they always want you to have a good time. And they've operated this casino in the same way, and it's wildly successful for a lot of reasons, including opportunity to win big jackpots. So you're going to love the vibe in there. I always do. As I said, the Borgata, nice arrangement for horse players. You would have to say on the elegant side by comparison even to some places in Vegas, Lubie, which have yet to upgrade, their accommodations for horse players. These guys design a room at Champions with the horse player in mind because they understand what we're all about. They really do. So I'd put it up there with any place. That would be my only regret is that while I'm punching horses, I'll be thinking about being in Champions. You can go there at any time and enjoy all the big racing simulcasting, the poker room, the casino, another $50,000, I think, the other day, like a second one, Lubie. Because I keep looking at that thinking, I already clicked like on that because I dig it when people win money anywhere, and especially at Hialeah. And then I look and go, no, that's like another one.
They're giving away a lot of money.
Yeah. And they have some fabulous promotions going right now. So check the calendar of events and all the different things that are happening and all the advantages that you can have as you enter Hialeah Park. If you're a first-time starter, I'm telling you, people, you're going to love it. Hialeah Park, a beautiful casino, poker room, champion simulcasting room, great food and drink, great vibe, great people in operation there. We're operating the place, including our dear friend, Frank Fiore. Hey, Frank. Love you, my friend. And make your plans to go to beautiful Hialeah Park. You'll see what we're talking about. All right, coming back, Tony Segredo is going to join us actually in just a few minutes here on the program. Wow.
He's ready. Yep.
I knew he'd be ready to go, man. Tony, you know what? He is even better than what did I always tell you? The first tenet of broadcasting: be there for post time for the show.
Yes.
There's no excuse. I mean, I think maybe Lifetime. I might have been late for one show. Where I mean, and there was just no way around it. I mean, stuck in brutal traffic, and what are you going to do, right? And now at least there's a way to bail out, right? You can always pick up a cell phone, and how many times do we have to do that on those? We led the league in station drivebacks, as they're called in the business.
For a while,
where,
yeah.
Yeah, you go set up, at a remote location, like I'm out there at the racetrack, Gulfstream Park, 5:30 in the morning. You flick on the switch, Lubie, can you hear me? And you get back, yeah, and you're thinking, what am I going to do, man? So my first instinct is to think that magically the problem is going to correct itself, which obviously it's never going to happen that way, right? I mean, it's just not somehow, mysteriously going to disappear. I mean, whatever it is. I mean, whether the phone line's been shut down, that was a common problem where the station didn't pay the phone line. Kind of like my New York Post subscription. So it happens. But anyway, we led the league in station drivebacks, and you would either be yammering away at the studio while trying to run the entire operation, or and being unable to get any like bailout. Right? You couldn't take a phone call.
No, I'm on and running.
Like I'm gonna.
Always fun.
And then the other option was to like get on a cell phone and call your own show on a cell phone. I've done that.
I know.
I did 2 hours out of a tow truck one day when my car broke down on the way to work. But the tenet of broadcasting, and no one's better at it than Tony, because he's locked in like a quarter of an hour before the show, maybe even a half hour before, right?
Yes. Not anymore. He used to at the station. He used to be in by like 7:30.
Yeah.
Half an hour, 45 minutes before. Yep.
And he's one of these guys. I mean, God love him that will actually do like a check to see if the stuff works.
Yes. Oh no, he's the real deal. What do you mean? The flipping we're doing next week? If it was you would have told me like Friday, and they would have been like, "Oh, thanks, Steve." Like he reached out to me Tuesday, a week before, and is grateful to me that I can make it happen. Like, you gave me 5 days. If I can make it happen in 5 days, and that's on me, that's not on you. That's freaking amazing. I'm like, okay.
This Bernie Rosen, this Bernie Rosen must have really been some.
I don't know. He must have been on his ass.
Some mentor. No, I mean, that's great. And you know what's good? If you have a good work ethic, which, believe it or not, I believe we have a good work ethic. I think that we do. We put our effort into it every day, and I care about what we're doing. It may not seem that way, right? Might just seem like some sugar and nut is spewing out a bunch of nonsense again. You think Tony can help me with a bet? I know he's going to bet on the Hurricanes, and I'm not sure. See, Larinaga kind of scared me a little bit there. The one thing I really, and I meant to say this like an hour ago, and I never really got around to it, but, one of the things in that interview that impressed me the most was that we were questioning whether the ACC was weak. And did you notice how we offered up only gratuitous laughter in support of Jim's near rant that the ACC is being completely disrespected in this tournament, including the embarrassment of one of Tony Segretto's favorite schools, Notre Dame, having to be in a play-in game like a bunch of weenies, like they were Bryant, like they were Wagner, like they were Wright State. And Notre Dame, one of the vaunted, and he put it this way, programs in all of athletic history, right? Holy Newt Rockney.
The name Notre Dame 4 times. He was like, Notre Dame, Notre Dame, Notre Dame. I was like, geez, I've never heard Coach O get like that ever. I was like,
he was screaming. It was fantastic. I really was inspired by this. So, I was thinking, geez, I don't know about my Virginia Tech bet, because I think that the way that they're playing after mowing down North Carolina and Duke, and then they win. They win the tournament, right? The ACC tournament by beating North Carolina and Duke. That's no chump team back to back that you're beating, right? I mean, it's not like you threw in one against Delaware or something.
yeah.
So I'm thinking that they're good, and then Larinaga kind of convinced me that the ACC. I mean, he was. You could hear he was really genuinely upset that the ACC only had like 5 teams, and that Notre Dame had to face the embarrassment of being a bunch of schleppers. Hey, can you shine my shoes? Right? Maybe we'll let you in. Notre Dame, normally getting more favorable consideration than even Duke, right?
Yeah. Well,
That's
basketball, I guess they get forgotten. I mean, they were a 2 seed in the conference. You would think they'd be automatically in. It is interesting they have to play for their food. Play for their food.
What schmeck team are they playing?
I think Rutgers. I think it's Rutgers.
Oh, Rutgers. Wow.
Yeah,
Rutgers is no slouch.
I don't think it's a gimme. I feel like it's Rutgers, and I don't think it's like they're automatically.
Jersey Kyle bet $100 on Rutgers to win $15,000 if they win the tournament.
Oh, I don't know if that's happening.
100 on Rutgers. What is that?
Notre Dame's only favorite
50 to 1?
I guess Notre Dame's laying 1 1/2. Like they're not a slam dunk favorite over Rutgers.
No. Oh, no, they shouldn't be, right? Rutgers, Big Ten, and Big Ten was supposed to be the power conference this year. All right, we're coming back with Tourney. Hialeah Park. Don't forget, log on to their website. You'll find out all the details there. Tony Segreto is going to join us here. He's brought to you by Texas Roadhouse Restaurants and also Catholic Health Services. I mean, you talk about quality. See, I do believe that Tony brings an air of dignity to the program that otherwise, Leslie Visser, when she comes on the show, she realizes she's talking to a bunch of bums.
I know, thank God.
Right? Yeah. and Tony still, he just, will he ever bring us up to his level of dignity and refinement? I don't think
probably not, but he makes us strive for it, which we don't without him.
Yeah, he tries to make us look at the other side. All right, we're coming back with more in a moment. Now that.
The time.
It's called Old School. It's 8:01. Poker is your game. You're covered in style. And you can play all your favorite Vegas-style games, including blackjack, craps, and roulette in Hialeah Park's sizzling hot casino. Get a player's card when you walk through the door for all kinds of generous amenities, including our favorite, free play, when you come out to the ultimate casino and entertainment destination, Hialeah Park.
These days, we're all looking for comfort anywhere we can find it. Thank goodness for Landlubbers Raw Bar and Grill in the Plantation location, because they are making sure you are as comfortable as possible. You're going to have the best wings in the world. You're going to have a great burger. You're going to have their amazing soups. Again, Landlubbers Raw Bar and Grill. It's nice and easy. Just go to landlubbersbarandgrill.com for both your pickup and free delivery. Thank goodness for Landlubbers for making you always feel right at home.
Catholic Health Services is committed to care that changes as your needs do. Our full continuum of services is designed to be there throughout your care journey. If you need assistance with daily living, post-acute care following a serious health event, or additional medical care at home, we also offer skilled nursing and palliative and hospice care. Your care needs may change, but our commitment never does. Catholic Health Services, South Florida's #1 choice for post-acute and end-of-life care. Visit CatholicHealthServices.org.
What we gonna do right here is go back, way back into time.
We are now kicking it old school with the one and only Tony Segreto, brought to you by Catholic Health Services and Texas Roadhouse.
Tell me, doctor, where are we going this?
All right, morning once again, everybody. Great to be with you here on the East Coast. So we hit the other side of 8 o'clock in the morning. Jeff Deforrest, Mike Lubitz. It's the Defo Show, and we feature every Wednesday at this time, and it's always great. Anytime we can engage this gentleman in a conversation, and I'm sure he has a lot on his mind today because he is, at heart, Lubie, a diehard sports fan.
Oh, more than
before anything else, yeah. And
you didn't think I would be after all these years?
We knew that, but I mean, it really comes out, especially when you talk about it. And I was just thinking this. I was thinking, well, geez, what am I going to say to Tony here as he comes on? And the NCAA tournament is on the horizon. I'm going to get involved with a couple of wagers. I'm not a big college basketball bettor by any stretch of the imagination, but I'll throw in money into pools, whatever. I like playing a bracket game, even though I absolutely stink at it. But I've been trying to zero in on this because of my upcoming departure tomorrow for Atlantic City. And I was thinking the NCAA tournament at certain levels, not necessarily when you're looking at Banchero and, this kid from Gonzaga that's going to be the #1 pick, Holmgren. But it's closer to being one of your favorite theories that it's all about the kids than a lot of the other things. When you see the celebrations, especially in the small conference tournaments, and how much is on the line there, just to make it to the big dance to get trounced by Arizona, it has such meaning to these players, and they're having so much fun accomplishing these things and getting a chance to be in the the big spotlight here of the tournament. That it does strike me as being much closer to what college athletics was supposed to be representing as opposed to the big money grab that it is today.
Yeah, I mean, I think, listen, there's no question there's a big money grab. There's a lot of money in this. I mean, CBS is going to clean up. I mean, this is what everybody's been waiting for. The bet, Vegas is Atlantic City, all of these places, they're all going to clean up. But, think about this. Of the 68 teams, and you figure out all, do all the math, all the, the rosters have whatever it is, 10, 12, 15 guys on it. And then you have the women's side too. How many of those of the 68 team, of all the players in there, what's the percentage how many are going to be playing, in the NBA? How many? Truly, how many?
Yeah, very few, obviously. Yeah.
Very few. So these guys and these women are playing for the love of the game, for the competition, because they love the competition. And I think we forget that. I think we forget the fact that, these young people, for a majority of their lives, they've just been nothing but competitors. I love the drama. I love the storytelling. I love the excitement. Listen, I love the tournaments coming up to this. I mean, some of these games where that Big Ten final was incredible, remarkable. But I, like you, I mean, can we hitch our wagon to Virginia Tech? Is that wagon still going to run? Are those horses still filled with the tank to get this thing going? It's going to be fun. And I love Miami. Listen, everybody's counting Miami out. They open up against USC. I think Miami's going to show up, and I think Miami's going to surprise people, and I think Miami's going to win that first round game and then wind up facing Auburn, which then becomes this big test. But I believe in what Larinaga is doing. I believe in what Katie Meyer's doing. I mean, Miami, their first draw on the women's side is they're playing South Carolina. That's not an easy.
That's their game. South Carolina was like number one, weren't they? Did they end up number one overall?
But you gotta beat the best to be the best. So you guys will beat them early.
I was going to say they got a girl in South Carolina plays like Elgin Baylor, man. I mean,
she's great. They're incredible. Just remarkable players. I turned you guys on to how I feel with my daughter involved in college softball, and I turned you guys on to women's softball. But every time I mention it, you say, "Man, I watched the game, and these athletes, they're really athletes. They are." And the women's basketball game, how it's changed over the last decade. I mean, I just think it's going to be a remarkable couple of weeks here, and I can't wait for it to start. I really want Gonzaga out early. I just wanted. I do. Only here's because everybody.
How could you hate Gonzaga? I mean,
I don't hate them.
A purity and a spirit of Segredo like I've never seen.
I don't dislike them. That's not the point. The point is
good guy.
That no one is not picking them as the champion. So what
Arizona's
I'm saying
getting
is
some steam. Everybody has
Arizona's
Arizona
getting some steam.
Gonzaga.
I think Virginia Tech is getting a little head of steam here too. So
I don't see them winning at all, though. I mean, I'm hoping they win one game with a point.
I think with Virginia Tech. Listen, how long have we all been doing this? A long time, especially you and me, Defo, a really long time. And it comes down to the team that's got the hot hand at the right moment. And how long can Virginia Tech's hot hand remain hot? You got to say to yourself, at some point, do they run out of that steam that's been propelling them? And, just getting here, that's the fine balance coaches have now, right? They're excited to be there, but do they convince them that they still need to work hard? And you can enjoy yourself, but don't enjoy yourself too much.
Larinaga made a good point of this, though. When we were talking to him, of course, about his Cinderella run in 2006 with George Mason, where they mowed down Michigan State, North Carolina. They had to beat UConn to get to the Final Four. They eventually lost that first game in the Final Four to Florida, who had that couple-of-year run there at that period of time with Billy Donovan coaching, where they had dynamite teams, and they won 2 championships? Did they win it back to back?
Back at
University of Florida. Yeah, I think they did. So he was talking about that, and he was saying this. It was very Segredo-esque. I thought of you throughout this whole conversation because he was saying that. In the tournament, you have to play your best basketball in the very first game that you're in, and then you have to play your best basketball every night after that.
Yeah,
like you can't be off. and winning the tournament. That was his message that he was going to send to his team. That whatever you do tonight, man. I mean, don't even bother celebrating. It's literally Valvano time. Survive and move on.
Yeah.
And that was interesting. Now he's going against a team, and a lot of times coaches don't reveal the strategy or won't talk about what they intend to do. Or if Jimmy Johnson told you he was going to pass the ball every down, he's going to give it to Kareem Abdul-Jabbar 37 times that day. But Larrañaga, he said that USC is an extremely tall team. I didn't know that much about them. I've seen glimpses of them this year. I can't say that I could really define anything about them, except Larrañaga laid it out for us. Extremely tall. Their smallest starter is 6'5". He's their point guard. All right, and then everybody else is like 6'9" or above. They got like Magic Johnson at the shooting guard position, and everybody else is huge. And their biggest weakness all year was defensive rebounding against the strength of USC, which was offensive rebounding. And he said though that, and I didn't realize this, the Canes are extremely efficient at causing turnovers and then also scoring off turnovers, which. That's one of the great things in a tournament when you get a team that's playing some defense like that. And he was saying he doesn't want USC to even have an attempt to get shots.
Shoot it, yeah.
Right. He wants to go for steals and put a lot of pressure on the basketball and not allow them to take advantage of that huge edge they have in rebounding.
Get them thinking. That's the one thing you want to do. You want to get the opponent to think, because as coaches will tell you, all the time, everything is done by reaction. You're going to be, obviously they're going to think about the strategy that they're in and the play that they're in. And that's not what I'm saying, but everything is worked on instinct. So if you start to, crack that instinct a little bit and you get them to start thinking and start losing a little bit of confidence, again, it's momentum. It's what you believe. It's how strong you are. It's believing the game is not over. How many points can you score in 25 seconds? How does that work? How do we have to do this? Can we? And again, you all roll your eyes, but it's again living in that moment. Now, listen. Last year,
wait a minute. Give Louie time.
Last year, Last year there were no fans there. The energy was gone. Now it's just going to be, now it's going to be nuts. And who can handle that? And don't you start playing soap opera music. It's just, it's the truth. It is the truth. I don't care. You all can
You're
laugh
like the
or
Wizard
roll
of
your eyes.
Westwood on the show, man. The pyramid of success. I love it. No, it's great. Well, I'm hoping that Jim wins a game here with the University of Miami.
I want them.
I wouldn't rule it out. I mean, I certainly wouldn't discount them. They're going to be competitive. And he was screaming like Tourney. The guy is the epitome of calm, right? And he speaks kind of distinctly.
You think he's the epitome of calm?
I do.
Honestly?
I believe he is. Yeah. No,
I see him on the sideline during games, man. I think he can get in your. I think he's calm when he needs to be, but I think he can get up in your grill real quick.
Oh, I would imagine he could. But
I think I'd love to hear some of his pregame messages, because I'm telling you, he is going to be all over them, and I love it. I think he's so good. I think he is a master of the personality of the player. I think he knows his players. He knows.
Well, he should know them. They've been with him 6 years now.
No, but I mean,
one of the advantages he has. Yeah.
What good is who did Wooden?
Plutarski wasn't in school as long as a couple of the kids that are in the starting lineup.
Did John Wooden once say this? Like, what good is strategy is what good is strategy if the player you're asking to execute the strategy can't execute it? So the strategy is no strategy. Yeah. So. He just knows his guy. I think they're going to win the first round. That's just me. And I feel the same exact way about Katie Meyer. I think she is so good.
Going to beat South Carolina?
I don't know if they can do that. That's
I know you predicted the Dolphins would beat the Bears in '85 on TV.
I'm not predicting that.
Everybody thought you were shilling for Shula. Shilling for Shula. I heard them screaming at their television sets. He's a shill. And you were right.
I don't know. So. Listen, I am not going to go out. I'm hoping that they're competitive and they put up a good game. And I'm not saying they can't beat them. Obviously, anybody can win. But I
have to say, and I admire you for this because our good friend Jim Sarney, who used to be the media critic here locally at one time for the South Florida Sun Sentinel sports section, he did a lot of other stuff. Was big on tennis and other sports. But imagine this, sports sections used to have specific guys to cover tennis.
Yeah.
Whereas now, I mean, they're lucky if they have two guys in the field at all, which is kind of weird. I mean, that's part of the way that the business has changed. But Sarni's big about and Lubie got into, sort of a thing
It's
with
like a
him.
thing, yeah.
Because I would have to say my focus is not nearly as intense on the women's game as say yours would be, and yet I'm glad that these ladies get a chance to experience the sport at this level, and that they're finally coming in, at least in terms of the marketing of the tournaments, coming
Yeah,
into somewhat of a position of equality.
I agree. Listen, I thought it was great that after we saw the selection show for the men, we get to see the selection show of the women. I think they deserved it, and I think they proved that. Listen, look at the girls who fought for soccer and what they wound up with, and they're right. They're absolutely right. There is no reason in the world whatsoever that there has to be disparity. None, absolutely none. Trust me. This week, I'm not sure if it's I have to double check. I'm not sure if it's tonight or tomorrow night. But Florida State softball plays Alabama 1-2, and
does Saban have any influence on the Alabama women's softball
I don't know,
team?
but I guarantee you that ESPN will promote it, and that
Yes,
it will be, and the SEC. It's going to be on the SEC network. I guarantee you they'll have really good ratings. Now, depending on who they're up against in terms of if the game is tonight, there's no competition because we haven't started yet the basketball, but the women's sports are getting more and more action in terms of people watching and people betting and all of those things. And I'm just very happy that
you're betting on the women's tournament, Tony. This is
I'm
a level of sickness that I didn't know that you employed.
I'm going to throw a few shekels.
You're betting
that way.
on the women's basketball tournament.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
I mean, it's one thing to watch.
Why not? If you
and
love the
applaud
game,
the ladies,
if you either love the game or you don't. Listen,
so you're throwing money down. I mean, I'm getting the impression here that you have a large wager tonight, or whenever it is, I guess tomorrow, on the University of Miami women to beat. I mean, are they still the number one team in the country? No, they can't be, because the Canes are like a 16 seed.
They're the number one seed.
Canes are a 16
and the
seed.
Canes.
South
they're
Carolina
not a 16
is the number one
seed.
seed.
Yeah, I don't know if you got that right, Tony.
I think
I
they're
saw
the
like
number
an
one seed
8
in
versus
their bracket.
8 versus
not,
9
Lubie?
game for the Hurricane women. So
Maybe
your bookie
I'm
is
wrong.
got you. Got you all kinds of bizarre action.
Hey, listen,
it's not available to others.
I know we have to go to a break soon, but when we come back from a break, I want to talk about what you said about Hialeah.
Oh yeah, no, you were there. You were
place is,
emceeing that thing, and remember they always have the model. Like I remember when in 2008, unfortunately, I was investing in a bunch of real estate, and you would see the model of what the housing and everything was going to look like, and it looked so brilliant with the little trees and everything. And you thought, wow, I wish I could do that with like Legos, and. And you thought, man, the guy's crazy, right? He's going to put a casino in here. I don't even know if you. I mean, you're up there on the stage, and I mean, when John Brunetti teared up talking about the place, my God, I mean, how could you help it? Not have some water come to your eyeballs.
I learned never to doubt John Brunetti early on. And Jersey guy, we came from near the neighboring towns. Same kind of culture and ethnicity, and we became friends. And his passion for everything he did was off the chart, absolutely off the chart. He was one of those. How many people have you known in your life? I mean, when I think about it, I think Brunetti, I think Shula, I think Johnson, who had the ability to will things to happen.
Oh man, he was in dire battles. I mean, you talk about having to.
He was in dire battles when
he was like
Zelensky.
I mean, not to compare it to this hideous war, but I mean,
I don't think I would do that.
He was getting, I mean, just absolutely under attack constantly, and people thought that maybe he was provoking some of that by being opposed to any kind of diplomacy and deciding who was going to get these dates, but it always did seem like Gulfstream was trying to stick it to him. At that time, they were under the management of the Don family, and people were trying to roll over Hialeah. They really were, and yet the fans loved Hialeah. It's kind of like the fans in California when the Del Mar meet is on, or the fans in New York when the Saratoga meet is on. Those 2 months at Hialeah, everybody looked forward to it, and almost everybody thought that they should have been the ones operating the middle dates because they were the best.
And I still think they should have. And listen, I
people probably don't know what we're talking about, but it was a hideous legislative war that was going on forever.
Let me try and put this into context. It was such a big deal down here, not just the horse racing, but for dog racing as well, as to who would get the coveted those midwinter dates when all the snowbirds were down.
Yeah.
It was such a big deal that when those dates came out, it was the lead story in the news.
Oh, wow.
That's how big a deal it was. And
Weaver,
it
the
was that
weatherman,
way.
was talking about it. I mean, 'cause
Yeah,
he was
and that's how
inclined to
big a
get
deal it
involved, yeah.
was. And you know, we have been very blessed and very fortunate to go around the country looking at these amazing tracks, whether we're at Saratoga, Del Mar, you know, Belmont, you know, Churchill Downs, whatever. But you would just walk into Hialeah and there was this sense of
Awesome. Yeah.
oh my goodness. I mean, it threw you back. And the beauty of it is the family that takes care of the grounds, that is responsible for how Hialeah looks. It's a generational family. Dennis Testa and I played ball. We were on the same team together. We went to high school together. We played ball. He lived when he was little. He was a little boy. He lived right on the grounds. There's a house right on the grounds of Hialeah that the Testa family lived in, and you know they got the flamingos in. They did the whole thing with the eggs, and it just remarkable, absolutely remarkable. And to this day, for people who go there to go to the casino, and they've done a magnificent job with the casino. I mean, absolutely magnificent. You can still walk around the grounds and get a sense of what it was like. Not quite there yet, but pretty darn close of what it was like. And
it was a good time. I mean, I really enjoyed it. It was a wild time here in South Florida also.
You remember the Super Bowl party there?
I don't specifically remember that, but I'll tell you one that stuck with me and will forever be with me because what a send-off this was. And you were there that day when they had the tribute at Hialeah Park for John Brunetti after his passing, John Brunetti Sr. And when they let the Flamingos go, man, talking about Dennis Testa, when he got that flight of the Flamingos and they were playing I Did It My Way, you know, because obviously there were, you know, it was an Italian vibe to this whole thing with the Brunetti family. And, you know, I could still see, and you had all of these guys there that they started out launching announcing careers. I mean, think about it. Tom Durkin, Frank Miramonte, who's now at Santa Anita Park, and our good friend Pete Aiello, who is maybe the top guy in the country right now, with apologies to my man Frank. Yeah. But no, he is an outstanding race caller. I mean, he makes it fun. So, you know, when he goes into that, who do you like? Because there's like 5 of them, you know, across the track there at the 16th pole. And, you know, I mean, it did so many things historically in sports. I mean, and so many great things happened there. I mean, in terms of the sport of kings, so to speak. I mean, so many legendary things, including, I mean, you're watching like Eddie Arcaro, man. Yeah. And he's hanging out at the track with you as, you know.
Really hardtack. I mean, we go on and on and on. Just the greats of the greats.
Yeah.
You know?
Unbelievable stuff. Yeah. Old school. Tony Screno. A very fitting tribute there, Tony. I think we kind of, you know, took care of that. But so you, I mean, a secret bet on, but we have to check
playing South Florida. is playing South Florida.
South Florida, not South Carolina.
South Florida. Yeah, UM women.
Yeah,
UM women.
That's a big difference there, right? It's an 8 versus
huge
9
difference.
game. Yeah,
huge
8 versus 9.
Huge difference. Yeah,
because they would get crushed like a grape.
Thank you for that correction. Yeah,
Friday at 11:30 a.m. on ESPN2.
I like that your bookie was leading you to believe that they were playing South Carolina.
They have no shot.
No. When was that?
Well, you would have a better chance though of winning this way. I mean, a much better chance.
When did you say it was on?
It's Friday.
I'm not sure. Friday they start the tournament.
Yeah,
so it'll be good. Yeah. I don't know if I'll be wagering on that game, Tony, because
I am.
You have contributed enough to the sickness at this point. All right, I tell you what, it's great. If you win that one, we should all go to Texas Roadhouse. No,
I think we should go there regardless.
Yeah,
I think here's what I think we need to do. So here's my idea. My idea is that we go to Texas Roadhouse, have lunch. Right. Or, you know, have a quick bite, maybe early, late afternoon. And then we head down to Jimmy Johnson's the Keys.
Oh, Big Chill.
And go to Big Chill. So you start at, Texas Roadhouse. Then you go to Big Chill. Well, I mean, this is like the culinary dream for us.
Yeah, it'd be a nice combination, man. Although I don't know that you could eat much down at the Big Chill if you started out at Texas Roadhouse.
If you are looking for a place to go and want to watch some games for March Madness as it starts, if you are looking for a place for the coldest beer in town, the best little appetizers you can have at the bar, there's only one place you go, and that's Texas Roadhouse. We always talk about the meals. We always talk about, the ribs that fall off the bone. We're always talking about the great bread, the steaks, the chops, you can get the fish. We talked about Ed Garcia loves the blackened salmon over a salad. All of those great things, all of those main dishes, they're wonderful. But we don't talk much about all the great appetizers that they have, and that you can go by yourself, no matter where you are in the restaurant. You have views of maybe 3 or 4 big screens that are all going to have different games on. And you can sit there with your loved ones or with your children and cheer on your favorite team, or you can just sit at the bar, be by yourself, feel just as comfortable, and get some great, what do they call, gator bites and all of these different things that they have their wings are amazing. You can get that sweet potato loaded up. You can get fries, and you can sit there and have the coldest beer. They chill their lines to make sure that when the beer leaves the keg, goes through these chill lines and out, they'll get the temperature to make sure it's just at the right temperature to get your beer as cold as they possibly can get it when it's served to you. You are not going to get that service anywhere else. And the only place you can do it is Texas Roadhouse. So if you want a place to go, even if you don't want to watch the games, if you want to get in the energy and feel it, go to the Texas Roadhouse. It's going to be great. It is remarkable. And at the very least, you can get a basket of rolls and forget your carb content and then eat eat your life away with the best rolls you could possibly get in town.
I think in a past life you were like a street pretzel vendor, because nobody could sell bread like you do, Tony. It's amazing, man. You make me want to go there just for like a basket of rolls.
It is.
Yeah. But that's a good opener. You know what? A key to a restaurant, I think, it's not an essential. But if a restaurant has like a great bread serving, as they call it, to start things out, where you're actually thinking, man, I can't wait to get a slice of that bread from such and such.
Exactly.
In this case, Texas Roadhouse. It's a nice thing too. And then you have to tell yourself, okay, only limit yourself to one.
Well, that's a problem.
So you can consume the meal.
To not eat all of it.
See, here's my issue. I'm going to really pull the curtain back on Tony Segreto here.
All right.
Don't
tell me you stole the sweet and low.
No. One of my superstitions, like one of the things.
It's a Florida thing. Yeah.
Listen, God bless my mother. My mother smoked for the longest time, like I know your mom did, and then she quit.
No, my mother never smoked.
Oh, I thought
my dad did. But,
so
but
my mother, during the period of time when she smoked, and this was back in the 50s and 60s. You'd come in the house, and there would be ashtrays from the Holiday Inn, the Howard Johnson's, every hotel, every restaurant we would stay in. There'd be matches, and then there would be, little soaps from every darn place, right?
What about the towels, man? Did you have that too? And the robes?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. The towels, that was the whole thing. But here's my little superstitions. I'm an odd number guy. I got to do everything in odd numbers.
Odd numbers. That's why you like being, with the two of us. It makes sense.
So that's why, to your point, if I have one roll and I decide I want to have 2, then I round up having
you have
3,
to have 3
because I have to have 3. That's my problem. That's my issue.
Yeah. There are a couple of places, that featured rolls like that, that I always was like, oh, I have to stop, right? And you would have one, and it just like melted in your mouth like it does at Texas Roadhouse.
Yep.
And so it's almost impossible not to grab that second one. Yeah. And then you realize we haven't ordered yet. So my preference would be at Texas Roadhouse to have them bring the rolls after the meal. And see what you had left in the tank.
I actually want to petition. I actually want to petition the vendors at the Hard Rock, because I love, when you go to a football game or a baseball game, whatever, you love to get obviously a hot dog, but I love the pretzels. You talk about pretzels, but they're not the real ones there. I mean, I never got that whole thing when they're in the popcorn stand and the real game pretzel is called Ben's Pretzels. Ben's Pretzels. I want you to look them up, man. They are
there you go with the bread.
Unbelievable. Yeah, there you are. It's not quite Texas Roadhouse.
You sure you were like Ancestry wasn't in New York selling like loaves of Italian bread door to door? I mean, how are you so good at this, Tony? It's amazing. Wow, you're more detailed on this than the Gambling Gourmet is on some pheasant under glass.
Okay, when Lubie and I went to Texas Roadhouse, and add this on to Ed's little bit that you sent to him, Lubie. When Lubie and I went to Texas Roadhouse and we watched them actually make the bread, right, Lubie? We watched
That's
them
some trash.
roll.
It was freaking weird.
I mean, they had the dough was as big as you could, like this, and they were kneading the bread and letting it rise. They're doing this all day long.
Yeah.
You know, it's not something that's being shipped in by Merida, and God
They don't
bless
mess around.
Merida. But they don't. I mean, everything is made there from scratch. I mean, everything. I'm telling you, they have the butcher in there with 9 thick coats on and a hoodie on, cutting the meat. And
Tony,
it's
man,
remarkable.
unbelievable. I want to get a job there now. I mean, I guess it is our job to promote them. And I think we've done a fine job. They got their money's worth today.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, we even went into the detail about how they make the rolls and the yeast and everything. It was fantastic. And then all right, we have more to discuss here with Tony Segreto. There's a lot of things happening in the sporting world. So many terrific things. And we'll come back with more. Don't forget, Tony mentioned Jimmy Johnson's Big Chill. We don't want to leave him out of the equation. That is a great place to go. I don't know. I mean, you probably couldn't fill up on a bunch of rolls and steaks at Texas Roadhouse and then go down to the Big Chill and appreciate the things they do there. Dominic Kangemi, man, this guy is a stud. I'm telling you, Tony, in the kitchen, you would. The Kangemi family has some kind of quality that is very unique, where everybody is super talented at what they do. And wow, I mean, Dominic in the kitchen, you wouldn't think, very diverse, array of skills. Also, making these pizzas. You would love this Italian fisherman. Are you a seafood guy, Tony Segreto?
Oh, are you kidding me? The joke is when Joey and I travel, that whenever whoever picks the restaurant has to make sure that they have salmon for me, because I'm
not so much of a salmon guy, man.
I love salmon. I love
bothers me.
swordfish. I love bass.
Swordfish is great.
I mean,
yeah.
Oh,
Almost any white fish, I'm a big fan of. Not that I'm, eliminating, salmon because it's a fish of color. I mean, I don't want to get accused of any kind of bias or prejudice, but it's just absolutely great. I mean, Jimmy Johnson's Big Chill. You go down there, the Italian fisherman pizza.
Yeah,
because they have a pizza that's stacked with stacked, Tony, with the freshest seafood, like built in a pyramid. We're talking scallops. I mean, just melt in your mouth. Lobster. I mean, there's like a lobster tail in the middle of your pizza. It's fantastic, and it's so good. I mean, one slice will knock you over. It really will. I had this thing for the entire 4 days I was down there, right, in the refrigerator. Yeah, and it was just as good a few days later. Absolutely great. We're going soon. We have a guy making arrangements on this that is not quite as efficient at making arrangements as you are, Tony. Where we already know that you're working Monday with Lubie.
Yeah, I heard you talking about me showing up early, man. That was. But you
followed
Bernie
us.
Rosen. God bless Bernie Rosen. That was his big deal, man.
You can't be showing up like 1 second before the show.
If you show up on time, you're late.
Yeah.
Yep.
Exactly, man. It's very Shula-esque, that whole principle, right? Who was it that was like that? Where and Jimmy was like that. If you were like a second late for a meeting, you were out.
Oh, Shula
might even get cut, right?
We're on the bus getting ready to go to the plane, and the bus was supposed to leave at noon, and it's now 10 after 12, and I forget who it was that walked on the plane, but they walked down on 10 after 12, and Shula screams at him and goes, what time does the 12 o'clock bus leave? 10 after 12? I don't think so.
Was it Marino? Because then he wouldn't have cared, right?
No, it wasn't.
Same thing that Lawrence Taylor told us that story.
13 was always on time, man.
Yeah.
He was on time.
You have to be an example if you're going to be a leader. You have to be an example. That's why you were so good at what you did. All right, we're coming back with more with Tony Segreto. All School with Tony Segreto. Also brought to you by a really fine organization, Catholic Health Services, who I am always going to be indebted to for the way that they perform their job with such magnificence and dignity. With my mom, when she was getting ready to go to the big casino in the sky, they made it. As good as it can be, right? And it's a great organization, Catholic Health Services. We'll come back with more with Tony Segreto. A lot of football going on, Tony. A lot of action in the National Football League.
The Miami Dolphins.
And I'm not coming out of retirement like Tom Brady.
That's right. I'm curious to get your thoughts on that too. So more with Tony Segreto, more Old School with Tony Segreto in a moment. Now that it's 8:34.
Tony Segreto here. Let me ask you a question. What do you look for when you go out to eat? Good food, obviously, friendly atmosphere, not too loud, but good energy, reasonable prices, and a place where you feel comfortable. You're talking about the Texas Roadhouse. Good for a family, good for a date, or just a night out for yourself, and prices that will make you extremely happy. Their ribs, unmatched. Steaks, hand cut every day. Everything, and I mean everything, is made on site, including their incredible bread. Trust me when I tell you, Texas Roadhouse, your restaurant, your destination when you say, where should we go and eat tonight?
From the newly renovated sports bar to the beautiful bayside views captured at the Tiki Bar, Jimmy Johnson's Big Chill has it all. Located at mile marker 104, the Big Chill also offers waterfront dining while experiencing breathtaking sunset views of the Florida Keys. It's simply the hottest spot in the Keys to cool off. That's Jimmy Johnson's Big Chill at mile marker 104 in Key Largo. For more information, call today at 305-453-9066.
Any time of year, things can happen to your home or business, and the insurance company can be your friend, but they also can be your enemy. Horizon Public Adjusters, Justina Testa, are here for you to help this process go so much easier. 7 to 10 times more money recovered with a public adjuster than if you went on your own. If there's no recovery, there's no fee. Before you call your insurance company, call Horizon Public Adjusters and Justina Testa at 954-809-8752.
One thing I noticed, a big disparity. I mean, the Florida State players look waif-like. This is kind of like watching the Oklahoma Sooners football team come in for their tune-up game, their cupcake game on the schedule against Ohio Wesleyan. And you look at the offensive line of Oklahoma, and you wonder how anybody's going to get around them. There is a distinct size differential in the girls on the Oklahoma team versus those on Florida State.
Yeah, well, I'm not going to use football as the analogy. I'm going to say that they all look like Dave Kingman. You know, they're all like 6 feet tall. It's remarkable. There's a couple of girls who are probably 5'5", 5'4", 5'6", but I would say a good.
But they're like 240, yeah.
6 feet tall, and man, and when you look at their numbers, they're gaudy. I mean, 406, 425, 32 home runs, 27 home runs. Even the ninth hitter in the lineup has got like 18 home runs this year.
We are now kicking it old school with the one and only Tony Segreto. Brought to you by Catholic Health Services and Texas Roadhouse.
Welcome to the show. Good to have you guys with us here on ION Channel. Jack Namer and the lovely Amy doing a fine job keeping us afloat here and getting us going in all kinds of new directions. Very exciting things happening with ION Channel. You can Google the Defo Show, and we have been suggesting on our social media posts that people go back to yesterday's program and check out this interview with Jim Larinaga. It was about an hour and a half into the show. He came on about 8:30 Eastern, doing the show live from 7 to 9. Here on the East Coast. And if you wanted to get enthusiastic and interested in the tournament, his 15, 20-minute segment with us would have to inspire you to, go and at least check it out.
Man. He can
I'm a big Cinderella story guy. I love it. I love it. And I loved it. I didn't know Larinaga. Obviously, I didn't know that I was going to come to get to know him when he was with George Mason in 2006. But you love it that they're there. And then there's always the individual Cinderella that rises to the occasion. And there have been many players that have benefited greatly from, maybe even becoming overrated by pro scouts for having a great tournament. And then they didn't necessarily pan out as pros. And then there have been many who just rose to prominence during the tournament and went on to be brilliant professional players. So I like following those two Cinderella storylines. And I always hope that at least one evolves, where either a player captures the imagination of the American public or, as they did with Sister Jean there in Loyola of Chicago a few years ago, a team. Florida Gulf Coast did that a few years ago. We were talking about that with, oddly and ironically, Andy Enfield, who is now the coach at USC, which, Jim Larinaga is going to have to get by. He was so upset, though, Tony, that the ACC, he thought they got dissed.
I thought so too.
I don't know. I mean, I'm not well rounded enough in all of college basketball and the various weight of conference play, to tell you whether they got robbed or not. I mean, that was the wisdom. Actually, was that they were only going to get 4 teams into the tournament, and I don't know what it means because now, how would you rate the level of play there? I mean, Duke, who I thought was really rounding into form when they eventually ascended to number 1 in the country. They didn't impress me now. They lost 2 huge ball games in your so-called in-the-moment ball games, losing on Coach K's final home game and then losing again in the finale to Virginia Tech in the ACC tournament. So Coach K couldn't go out in that blaze of glory either.
Yeah. That's again, it's who's hot, who gets the feeling that they can, they're not, they're not going to get beaten. And it's just hard to, you're dealing with, I swear, I remember like it was yesterday, sitting with Gary Stevens, the great offensive coordinator that Jimmy had at the University of Miami and then brought him to the Dallas Cowboys. And, Gary was a chain smoker, and he'd be in his office and he'd be puffing away, watching film. And he called me in and he was a guy that just was so brilliant at the offensive game and kind of had an edge, kind of a little cranky every once in a while when you would chat with him, but a good man, a truly good man. And I remember him saying to me, he says, I get paid well. I love my job. I couldn't think of anything more I'd rather do. He goes, but again, my job is dependent on an 18-year-old going over the middle in front of 80,000 people catching the pass.
Yeah.
And these guys, whether it's Coach K or Coach Larinaga, Katie Meyer, you go down the list, their jobs are dependent on these young people, coming through, and living in that moment and being able to, shake off the nerves and not feel distracted and being able to overcome, mistakes and all of those things. Have they coached them well enough to be able to do that? You ask any coach that besides living in the moment in big games, they'll tell you flat out, they have to drum it into their players that you're going to make a mistake. Mistakes will happen. How well you overcome them and get back into the game is critical to our success.
It doesn't seem like the weight of the so-called moment is as impressive on kids of today. Everybody, I remember when coaches were more militaristic and, like if you made a mistake, you were going to get grabbed by the throat by Bobby Knight and he was going to chew you out and you're going to be a, public disgrace forever. Yeah. Now, kids make a mistake. They like throw an air ball up on a free throw with 1 second to go in a game and they're high-fiving and laughing. It doesn't, I kind of think that, in some ways that's okay as long as, obviously they must be competitive to get to this point. All right, let's move on here to Tom Brady. Since we last spoke, he has returned to the National Football League. And, Lubie put it, I think correctly, that, his retirement essentially amounted to nothing because it wasn't like he missed 4 games into the season and then said, my God, I can't stand it at home anymore. Let me come back, Bruce Arians. I don't care who you have starting at quarterback. First of all, were you surprised that Tom Brady is coming back so quickly? And then, the second thing is that he came back to Tampa Bay where, supposedly this shows you how rhetoric sometimes is absolutely, unfounded or meaningless. Even if it was true at the time, he comes back to Tampa Bay. Supposedly there was this big divide there with him and Arians.
Yeah, the Tampa Bay thing didn't surprise me. I think how quick it was surprised me. I figured he'd come back. I figured it would be, before the season
I didn't
started,
think so. I thought he was done.
Yeah,
I really did.
And again, I think, I think there was credit. He felt the pressure of the family that it was time to retire, that he needed to be home. And the more he was home, the more he kept thinking about what he missed in the game, how he still missed that competitive drive. I think the discipline. I think he loves the discipline. Not many guys and not many people, I don't mean guys, I think people in general don't love that kind of discipline. His discipline in terms of what he ate, how he trained, hit from sleep to meditation to the foods to all of this was off the charts. To live that kind of life day in and day out for the years he did it, that's why he's still playing. I think he missed all of that. And I think, but was I surprised? Shocked that it was that quick. That it was that quick. It was almost laughable. Like, why did we even do this? Like
that was great. Well, I keep seeing Rocky parallels there, where Giselle is on her deathbed, and she looks at him, as he's all downtrodden, missing the game so badly, and just says, Win, Tommy.
Yeah.
Win.
Yeah.
And then the music comes out. And here he comes. I mean, right back into the Buccaneers offices saying, hey, I'm coming back.
I also think, and you listen, this may be, kind of fantasy here, but I also think that he didn't want to start bouncing around. I don't think he wanted to be LeBron. I don't think he wanted to have this sense of, I'm going to go to another team now. I think in a perfect world, he never would have left New England. But obviously it wasn't a perfect world. So he found a home in Tampa Bay. And if there were some, issues with a divide, they're easy to overcome and easy to patch up and easy to narrow. And I don't think he wanted to feel like, okay, now where am I going? Am I going to New Orleans, having to learn a new system, having to learn new players, getting another home, having to put my family through that again? So I think that may have been the yin and the yang within the family too. Is all right. We stay here. We're gonna live.
So you think Giselle made the call there about Tampa?
I don't know if she made the call. I don't know
he
if she
wanted to
made
go
the
to San
call, but I
Francisco.
think she was influential in it. I think there was an
What do you
influence
really think,
there.
Tony? Come on.
Yeah.
She made the call.
No, I am not going to sink to your level here.
This is Balboa again. Do you remember what happened? I mean, she wanted him to stop fighting and to retire, and he just looked at her. He says, "This is what we do." Right? I mean, that's what he had to say at some point. Like his whole identity is attached to being Tom Brady.
I have to tell you, I had some friends of mine. They'd never seen.
He's going to be emasculated if he sits at home with a little apron on and making pancakes. Get out of here for the kids.
I know this is sacrilegious. I know it. I know. But so I tell these guys, hey man, we all got to. These guys had never seen Rocky. Are you kidding me? So we're watching Rocky. And honestly, with the exception of the last 10 minutes of the film with the fight, right?
Yeah.
The last 10 minutes of the film. The other, however long the film goes, 50 minutes, the other 55 minutes.
You're talking about like a 90-minute, 2-hour job there.
Is not very, I mean, it's just like, really? It's like, it feels like it's just never ending.
No, I think it's brilliant. I really do. I mean, if you think about it, there's so much in there.
I haven't watched in years. I don't know if it holds.
So much in there. I mean, not every Rocky movie was a gem, but if you go Rocky 1, I think that is
Rocky 1 was good.
One of the all-time classic movies ever made. I really believe that.
I don't go. I wouldn't go that far.
I mean, sports movies certainly. I mean, think about it. I mean, all of the stuff that came out of that movie. Right? Yo, Adrian, man. We did it, man. And that was Rocky too.
Oh, yeah. From that point, absolutely.
I love that they use actual guys. I'm surprised, maybe we'll come back and address this because were you in any movies or anything? Because they were using like local sportscasters. Oh, you were in Black Sunday? Okay, we're going to talk about that because Stu Nahan was a big LA sportscaster, and he's doing the blow-by-blow in the fight.
Yeah.
And there was a ring announcer, I believe he was the ring announcer in Rocky 1 named Jeff Templer, who unfortunately died at a very young age. But he had to imagine this. He was the substitute for Jimmy Lennon Sr. At the Olympic Auditorium. I mean, you can't, follow in the footsteps of any greater presence than Jimmy Lennon. He was up there with Bob Shepard or any stadium announcer.
Yeah, no, he was.
And my fascination with this thing. And this Jeff Templer guy was in Rocky because they used like a lot of local guys in the movies that were shot there.
No, I was just like in the crowd, an extra in Black Sunday, but I was on 3 episodes. I was on the episode of the Golden Girls.
Miami Vice never had you.
No, I was on the
sitting at a bar or something.
No, I was on the Golden Girls, Empty
Golden
Nest,
Girls
and Nurses.
I loved them.
Nurses. What kind of nurses?
No, there was that Saturday night
promiscuous
trilogy.
Nurses. I mean,
there was that Saturday night
about?
trilogy of comedies: Golden Girls, Empty Nest, and Nurses.
Oh, I don't remember that one.
And they decided to weave the same storyline between all 3 shows. And the story was that a hurricane was hitting South Florida, and they were watching me deliver the information on the hurricane.
Oh, wow. We'll get into this a little bit. Show Business and Tony Segreto. It's All School with Tony Segreto. The only version of the Nurses that I remember, it was playing in a twin bill at the Civic Follies in Syracuse.
No, of course. Let's just take this down. Let's just take this down into the mud in the corner. Let's just take it down there. Why not?
Have you seen Small Town Sinner? It's a fascinating
You know
story. The
what?
plot.
While you take it in the mud, I'm going to stay outside and keep my white sneakers on. Okay, how's that sound?
Let's talk about something good here. We're talking about greatness here. Whenever we mention, and you couldn't be any more right about this, Tony Segreto. Catholic Health Services and the wonderful work that they do.
Yeah. And they continue, whether it's National Stroke Week or National Heart Week or taking care of, women's health, men's health, all of those things. They're all on they're on top of it all the time. They're making sure they make the community in which they're in aware of what they're doing. We talk about the rehab that they do, and that's why they're there. They're there to take care of us after something happens to us. But while they are there doing that, they're also educating the community on how to be proactive. So God forbid something does happen to you, you're healthy enough to respond to therapy. You're healthy enough to bounce back quicker than you normally would have. So what does that mean? That means taking care of yourself physically. In what way? That means getting the right amount of exercise, the right amount of sleep, and making sure you eat properly. The older you get, the more protein you need. They're all about educating yourself as you get older to make sure that you continue to maintain your weight, that you don't get obese, that you watch your sugar, you watch your stress, you watch your caffeine intake, you watch your sodium intake. All of those things are encompassed in making sure you stay healthy. So while they are there to react to what's happening to you, they're even more there in your face, telling you how to stay healthy, how to educate yourself. And that's what I love about Catholic Health Services. And they do this every day. They do this every week. And they do it with such a passion that it's, you know how you talk about Larinaga? Larinaga can grab you by the throat and sell you on anything. Can you imagine him recruiting you? I mean, he's got that ability to, to sell and to make you believe. And that's what Catholic Health Services, all their people feel that way. They have the expertise, they have the knowledge, they have the equipment, they have the facilities, and they have people who care. And not just care about you, but care about your families. And I think that's what sets them apart, whether it's reacting to what's wrong with you or being proactive to help keep you healthy. Catholic Health Services does it every single day. They do it in your community, and they do it with a certain type of charisma and a love for you and your family every single day.
It's great too. I mean, and I could forward these emails. You're trying to communicate with a hospital or a lot of other organizations when it comes to healthcare, and you get nothing, right? You just get the runaround. You may as well call like an empty voicemail, some boiler room in Chicago that sold you an oil and gas lease, and you're trying to call them back to get out of it. Just nothing but the runaround. And then the level of expertise of the people in the different categories and different departments at Catholic Health Services, like as soon as you would move to whatever department it was that you really needed to be dealing with, somebody new would come on the scene and they would just blow you away with their efficiency level and their ability to just get something done that you need done right away.
And they did their homework. They did their homework. When you call them,
knew their
they
stuff.
moved to a different department. They already know about your loved one. They know completely what's going on with them.
Great.
And they make you feel comfortable. And when they make you as a family member feel comfortable, there's that sense of where I can sleep at night knowing that my loved one is being taken care of when they sleep well at night.
Yeah, I mean, it's like the pressure comes off. And all of the anxiety that you have about the situation involving somebody that you love, their health, or even your own, if you're rehabbing an injury, you know where you stand. I mean, it's a big difference. You're absolutely right. Catholic Health Services, wonderful organization. Any kind of healthcare, make sure you check into Catholic Health Services before you even bother getting to run around somewhere else. All right, Tony Segreto, more old school with Tony Segreto. So you were just an extra in Black Sunday? Were you in Let It Ride at Hialeah Park? Let It Ride?
No, I was just an extra in Black Sunday, part of the crowd.
So you weren't up there in the blimp with Bruce Dern?
No.
All right.
No, my big showcase and what's really funny is because you had to belong to the union. There were no unions down here, so I had to belong. Join SAG and AFTRA and all that, and we'll still get a little monthly stipend. Golden Girls episode, whatever it was, they're played on cable in Germany, or it's played in Austria. Yeah.
And what kind of tab is that? Like a few cents, or is it something that
It depends. At the
you can
beginning
put
of
in
the
on the
year,
women's
no.
basketball
At the
team?
beginning of the year, it's it's not much. But at
Yeah.
the end of the year, like when after it's played like 1,000 times that year, the checks are like a quarter.
Oh, nice, yeah. Because Bobby Monica, the longtime equipment man, for the
Yeah, he
Dolphins,
was in
Miami Vice, as
Yeah,
a bartender, and I
yeah.
might have even had a couple of words of a speaking part there with Don Johnson and Michael Philip Thomas was the guy that played Tubbs, and he is always posting a copy of the residual he gets for like 28
Hey, you want
cents.
to splash a reality in your face? Have you ever?
I don't know if
this,
I'm ready for that. Yeah.
Have you ever seen the sitcom on NBC called Keenan?
Keenan? No, I'm not familiar with that one. Yeah.
Okay, he's a comedian on Saturday Night Live. He now has his own show.
Oh, okay.
On his show, as someone who lives with him, I think he might even be his father-in-law or something, is Don Johnson as an older man.
Oh, yeah.
It's Don Johnson. Yeah, you got to tune it in. You got to I'm going, who is that guy? I know that guy. And he's in this comedic show. He's pretty funny, actually. He's pretty good.
Yeah, he was good with Cheech, man, when he was doing that cop show out of San Francisco. All right, we're going to come back in just a moment, wrap things up. Old school with Tony Segredo. I think Lubie's got one for you. I don't know if he still retained the question from a couple of hours ago. But anyway, we're going to come back and wrap things up with Tony in a moment here on Ion
You got to
Channel.
keep Lubie awake. He keeps
I'm trying.
I thought your material was good today, Tony. I don't know. Maybe it's me. Back in a moment. Now that.
The time breaker.
8:55. If poker is your game, you're covered in style. And you can play all your favorite Vegas-style games, including blackjack, craps, and roulette, in Hialeah Park's sizzling hot casino. Get a player's card when you walk through the door for all kinds of generous amenities, including our favorite, free play, when you come out to the ultimate casino and entertainment destination, Hialeah Park.
These days, we're all looking for comfort anywhere we can find it. Thank goodness for Landlubbers Raw Bar and Grill in the Plantation location, because they are making sure you are as comfortable as possible. You're going to have the best wings in the world. You're going to have a great burger. You're going to have their amazing soups. Again, Landlubbers Raw Bar and Grill. It's nice and easy. Just go to landlubbersbarandgrill.com for both your pickup and free delivery. Thank goodness for Landlubbers for making you always feel right at home.
Catholic Health Services is committed to care that changes as your needs do. Our full continuum of services is designed to be there throughout your care journey. If you need assistance with daily living, post-acute care following a serious health event, or additional medical care at home, we also offer skilled nursing and palliative and hospice care. Your care needs may change, but our commitment never does. Catholic Health Services, South Florida's #1 choice for post-acute and end-of-life care. Visit CatholicHealthServices.org.
Finally found some fulfillment here on this program, as we're sending 2 families to professional wrestling, and we had that kid skip school to get the tickets to the Dolphin game. We feel like we're reaching a measure of distinction here. Now, there's no more distinguished guy in South Florida broadcasting history than the man who joins us next, and that is Tony Segredo. We go old school with Tony Segredo.
He makes charitable work, his life work, so he's mocking us now for what we are proud of, our endeavor.
I am not mocking. I am not. I'm not mocking you. I just don't even know how to respond to that, because I would not have expected anything less than that kind of intro today. When I heard that gentleman win the tickets to the wrestling and that he's taking his children, I saw the wheels. I saw the comedy writer in Defo's head, like trying to write as fast as he could, just to figure out what's next.
I have to write everything down now, Tony, because I can't remember my own name. It's written here on a sheet, the Defo show.
We are now kicking it old school with the one and only Tony Segredo.
I did find an old joke the other day as the Mustang was unpacking some boxes from one of our 3 moves in the last year. And it was, I guess, around the time where Donald Trump was pardoning every criminal, and letting everybody out of jail that was involved in his various enterprises and activities. And I had written down that he had also pardoned Carmine Abatello, the harness driver, for stiffing all those 3 to 5 shots at Roosevelt Raceway back in the 60s. He was absolved of all guilt and was now eligible for the Harness Racing Hall of Fame. What was the thing? You remember it, Libby? We have like a minute left here with Tony Segreto. What do you have for him?
Just wrapping here. It was just we were talking a little bit about football. You talked about Tom Brady, and it's funny. Tony's covered, and you've covered the Dolphins for a long time. And for years here, they were doing the big fish, where they went after Mike Wallace, and they went after Brandon Marshall, and they went after Ndamukong Suh. And what's interesting, as much as I've hated, and I say hate, Chris Greer's gotten to the point where I can't stand him. What they've done this offseason is sort of interesting. Like, they've gone after a lot of names I've never heard of, but football people really like, that fit Mike McDaniel's system and are supposedly guys that will work with what the Dolphins have to be successful, which is a whole different approach. But to me, it's intriguing because something I've never seen them do, but I'm sort of excited because it feels like they may be on the precipice to actually being something serious. And again, Tony, you've followed them a long time.
Yeah, I would agree with you. I really would agree with you because, here's the thing. We're all into the names, right? I recall when your beloved Florida State hired Mike Norvell, you were just like, who is this guy? Why didn't they get this guy? Because we know him, this guy, we know him, you have to give credit to the, sometimes they don't maybe, but you have to give credit to the guys in the business. They obviously do their due diligence. They're not just shooting from the hip. They do what they believe is right. And I believe that one of the things that McDaniel brought in here is that he says, listen, this is my system. I got to get players who can execute this. Like, we're going back to John Wooden. If a guy can't pull the play off, then it's a bad play. Right? If the guy can't execute the play, if I don't have the right people in place, well, they want to be able to get a group of guys that can execute this type of offense. And I also believe for Greer, this is it, man. This is the last climb. If we don't get this right, we're all done. So I'm excited. I don't know if I'm as excited about them as I am about what's going on at the University of Miami. I mean, I am completely, I know what's going on there. I see it. I feel the energy, and it's not just football, but what's going on in the basketball and what's going on with baseball. I mean, there's an energy at that university now athletically that I have not seen in years.
Well, Aranega talked about it with us. He said the hiring of Cristobal was good for the athletic department. It's reinvigorated everyone. He's like,
absolutely
on campus that we haven't felt since I've been here.
And not just him. When you bring in a guy like Dan Radakovich to be the athletic director, I saw Dan last week. This guy is the epitome of an athletic director. He plays the role and he executes the role. He's brilliant. He works well with people. He walks into a room and he's there. The athletic director that has that ability really has something. People listen to them when they speak. He can get things done. He knows how to win and how to bring in the right people. And I think what Cristobal did was just to, Aranega, just energize the rest of the department, because the rest of the department also always knows flat out football keeps everybody afloat. Football keeps everybody, with everything they need to make sure they can be successful. Without football, they're not going to have that. And bringing Cristobal in gives them that sense of hope and excitement.
2 words with regard to the Dolphins. We thought Adam Gase was the answer. So we'll see. I mean,
I don't know.
Too soon to judge anything.
Yeah.
I really don't
I'm
know
not
how
terrible.
that's
I mean,
gonna
I'm
not pessimistic about it, but
I agree with you. I'm not pessimistic, but I'm like, okay.
There's something else wrong in this organization that we haven't quite gotten to yet. There's a sad out for one of your favorite publications online, The Athletic, and this guy is getting advice on sports from different people. The idea that it's constantly feeding you information and provocative, thoughtful stuff. And, the guy says, well, you know what? They got all these superstars on the field, so the problem has to be in the front office. And I'm beginning to believe that, 20 years of this kind of desperation and flirting with mediocrity at best makes me think that there's just something wrong there. I don't know exactly what it is, but we'll see. Maybe this guy can overcome it. You never know. A few wins changes a lot of things.
If we wind up again in that middle of the pack.
Oh, yeah.
You know,
That's what I'm anticipating, though.
but I
don't
would,
know.
Defo, I agree with you. I totally agree with you. Listen,
What?
I want. Yeah, I know it's hard to
Whoa,
believe.
whoa.
I am not. I
Working
just
overtime,
can't,
Tony.
I just can't get excited. I can't. I'm not excited. I just can't get excited. I'm sort
I
of
don't know
like,
yet. Yeah, I
sort of
hope
like,
so.
Okay.
I always hold out, some optimism that maybe this will be the right guy, and that somehow they'll put the pieces together. I think the suspicions they have at quarterback, though, will plague them, and we see a lot of juxtaposition there, with other teams.
When Bridgewater signs to be a backup, I'm thinking to myself, really? I mean,
yeah, why not? I mean, Lubie, you might be right about that. He might be at that stage of his career where, he's kind of like having Tyrod Taylor on your roster, where could he start? Yeah, but is he really going to get you over the top? In all likelihood, not. I don't know that he was the same after this injury that he had when he was emerging as almost, I don't know if he was in Deshaun Watson type of stature, but people really thought a lot of him when he was quarterbacking the Vikings there. All right, so we got to run, Tony. A lot of fun. It got by too fast, and we worked a little OT today, so thanks for sticking with us.
Have
Catholic
fun
Health
in
Services,
Atlantic
Texas
City.
Roadhouse. Yeah, AC's not Vegas, but, it's not as much of a schlep. And, I'm probably there a couple of days too long. Like 3 days in Atlantic City is enough. Whereas we were planning on, being there Thursday through Monday in Las Vegas. And, if you're going to go 5.5 hours on a plane and whatever and all it takes to get there, you can enjoy the time there. It goes by very quickly. But AC, you start thinking, hey, maybe I'll go for a swim,
Yeah. Well, listen, we want to thank Texas Roadhouse Catholic Health Services. We love them. And Lubie, thanks for being able to accommodate me. So we'll see you next Monday. We'll be able to talk about the basketball over the weekend. And
good luck with your bet too. I mean, unloading.
Yeah, thank you.
On,
let's go,
the UM
Kane.
women.
Let's win that first round game. Both the men and the women. That would be fun. Win those
I'd like to
first
see
round
that.
games.
Nice parlay.
Yeah,
all right.
I
All right, Tony, thanks. We'll see you next week. And
Bye,
Tony's going to join Lubie on Monday as I'll be on my final day of what could be a very, very, very negative sea of red ink that I've been envisioning. I'm not going into this trip with a good deal of confidence.
Don't go broke, all right?
Well, I'm gambling for two. I was very, I was somewhat successful. I don't know about very successful, but I think if you get out of Vegas alive with, part of your bankroll, it's a big win. And if you come home with more money than you left with, then it's historic, right? And I'm not a big enough bettor to have these kind of wild swings where you're going to win 30,000 or lose like 10. That's not me. But nonetheless, so working within small margins over a long period of time in a casino destination, obviously, you got to be careful out there. That's exactly right. It's all Hill Street Blues, Lubie. And that's how we're going to leave you. Lubie's going to have the Hialeah Park Trivia Challenge tomorrow with Dave Gargles Gurley. Says he's on board for the whole thing. So that'll be a lot of fun. And then Friday, a Degenerate Friday. I would imagine a professor, big board, and a little Mark Lawrence coming up on a tournament. And also the Gambling Gourmet, Mike Mayo. And then Monday, you'll have Tony with you. So that'll be a lot of fun. And I'll see you guys coming back on Tuesday here on Ion Channel. And later on the Believe podcast. Well, it's now the Believe Network. And we'll have our podcast, Brandon Lang, going to be making some predictions for the tournament. I think that's going to air tomorrow.
Today we have Charles Davis.
Okay. Yeah. Oh, Charles Davis. He's great. All right. We'll see you tomorrow. At least Lubie will at 7. And wish me luck, people, as we leave you now that.
The time.
It's 9:06.
Let's go to eat a damn snack.
Look what they done to my soul.